Fuck it, I decided to go live early in the morning. I was supposed to go live last night. Decided, nah, what the hell? Might as well get some good night's sleep, so I can rest up my back and continue to, rehab my back until it gets better again. The good news is it's getting better. And the not so good news is I may have to get an injection in my back so that way we can make sure that the swelling reduces. I have two fractures in my lumbar area, and hasn't stopped me from working other than 2 days, so that's not too bad. So at least I haven't. It hasn't prohibited me from because I know people who can't walk or can't stand or can't sit. That was me for like 5 days, but I still was able to work surprisingly. And as you see right now, I'm seated, so that's good, right? So a lot of questions have been asked about what are my thoughts about the Deshaun Watson trade, the whole DeAndre Hopkins getting suspended for steroids, blah, blah, blah. And then I was asked, what are my thoughts about our draft picks, right? So these are all questions that people probably been wondering. And as time has flown by, they say, Mr. Rose, you don't make Texans vids in the offseason. Why? Why? Well, let me ask you this. Why should I make NFL videos during the offseason when there is absolutely nothing to cover in football, right? After February, your Super Bowl is over. So why should I make a mock draft February 25th or March the 1st or March the 15th? I see a lot of video makers doing mock drafts and, well, this is my new mock draft and this is who I think we could pick. And if we just trade up, we fall into this. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is, to me, sounds more confusing. Why not just wait? Why not just wait until maybe a week before the draft to even address it and make a video? We don't need your episode 100 ways to tell me who you're going to draft in the draft pick. That's nonsense. And if you're going to make NFL videos from February and March, you must be really bored with your time. I mean, seriously. The only time you should be making NFL videos is right before the draft, about a week up till the draft starts. I don't want to see your mock draft videos March 1st. That's boring. Who the fuck wants to watch that? If that's the case, I got baseball to go watch. If I'm going to watch something boring and lame and dull, I'm going to watch baseball. Rich says big facts, man. A lot of these guys are making NFL videos during the whole offseason every day as if football's still going on. Exactly. Why waste your time and energy on that when you could cover something else? There are tons of other topics you can cover than just football videos during the offseason. That's irrelevant in the following days after because there's no football to cover. So why cover mock draft? Why even bother? There's so many things that happen. Teams could trade up, teams could trade down. I thought the Texans were going to trade their pick down, which I originally thought, hey, trade the third pick down. I don't think Stingley Jr. is, in my opinion, that good to draft with the third pick. I thought trade down and acquire more picks for the first round. That's what I would have done. That's the move I would have made if I was general manager. I would have traded my third pick down and still had the 13th pick in the draft and still traded that pick down to get an offensive guard, which that's what we did, an offensive lineman in Kenyon Green. And I honestly think he's going to be the starting left guard this season. I can already see it happening. He is a very, very good pick that we made for the 15th pick. That was a strategic plan to trade down. We should have traded the third pick down, but nonetheless, I see a bunch of Texans fans hating on a Stingley, man. He can't cover and he gets injury prone. Nah. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then why'd you re-sign Brandon Cooks at wide receiver if you thought that was the case? Because he's not really that. He's washed up and his time is already past him. And they re-signed, they gave him an extension. Really? You have no problem with that, but you got a problem with them signing an offensive lineman first round, which we need offensive line protection for our quarterback. And if you're going to say that Davis Mills is the guy, and that's the front office saying that, you must protect him in the pocket. Because one thing that kid cannot do is he hesitates in the pocket when the pocket collapses. And maybe that's, the fact he's going into a second season. Maybe that could change for Davis Mills in the long run. There's no point in me getting angry over the Davis Mills saga. Personally, I don't think he's going to make it. I think nothing wrong with the kid. He didn't ask to play here. He didn't ask to be drafted in the third round. That was a front office decision. So as far as I'm concerned, the front office takes a big L if this kid doesn't work out. They got a lot of crowing to do to Texans fans if it doesn't work out. So there's no point for Texans fans to release their anger on Davis Mills if Davis Mills doesn't work out, because if anybody else was in his position, I would have signed the contract if selected as well. So to be fair, if the front office says that Davis Mills is the guy, then I'm going to hold them accountable when it falls apart. Not Davis Mills. He's just doing his job. And honestly, the question will be answered this year as far as Davis Mills is concerned. Is he going to be the guy? People say this is his last year. This is the year he has to prove it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see Davis Mills here for at least 2 more years. I think this year is going to be officially his start as a starting quarterback going into what would be his 12th game, going into the opening game. And then the following year, we will know by then if Davis Mills is going to be the guy. He would have to have really bad stats this year for them to consider them out on him. I think the front office is high on him. Lovie Smith already came out, our head coach already is high on him. And therefore, I don't see why the Texans would get rid of him even if he had a bad sophomore season, because last year technically doesn't count, even though he did play 11 games, but they said, oh, you threw him into the fire early because Tyra got hurt. Whatever the case is, he got a little experience. Let's see what he does this year, but it'll probably be the following year before we really, really know if he's going to be the guy or not. And honestly, I think the Texans will win between 3 to 4 games this year, maybe 5 tops. I don't see it panning out. We had an excellent draft, wide receiver, offensive lineman, got a couple of linebackers. We got a safety from Baylor and Petrie. I like our draft picks. Don't get me wrong, especially our first 5 are just golden. But to be honest with you, we won't know the answer to Davis Mills till next year. So we still got another 2 years with the guy. I think if he flops this year and next year, I think Texans fans will be asking for their heads from the front office, and then the front office will have no choice but to get rid of him. The only problem is we don't have any backup quarterbacks. We got Jeff Driscoll. We got the Kyle Allen guy we got from Carolina. So those are some great extra backup quarterbacks with some veteran experience that will just be game managing quarterbacks. I'm not anticipating we're going to win a Super Bowl or we're even going to much less make the playoffs. Let's just be honest. I think this team is going to be no more than, again, between a 3 and a 5 win team. That's just my analysis on that. All right. So we got the Stingley pick, cornerback from LSU. That was a great pick. Kenyon Green, offensive guard at the number 15th pick. That was a really good pick. Then Jalen Petrie, safety from Baylor. The 37th overall pick. 44, John Mechie III, wide receiver from Alabama. Excellent pick. Christian Harris, linebacker at the 3rd round, pick number 75. Excellent choice. Damian Pierce, running back from Florida. I'm not too high on him. Why? Because we've already got 4 running backs already. But the Thomas Booker, defensive tackle from Stanford, number 50 overall, not too bad. And Tegan Quarantino, tight end from Oregon State. We actually have some decent picks, like our first 4 or 5 picks. I felt like we hit stride on. I really do. And I think those guys have potential to be starters. I really do. I think Christian Harris would be an excellent linebacker and could start probably in the middle somewhere. Stingley and Jalen Petrie, I guarantee you, Jalen Petrie is going to be our starting free safety, and Stingley's going to be on our right cornerback position. And then, of course, we'll probably have Desmond King probably most likely on the other side. So to tell you the truth, I like our roster. You know, we're going to have Nico Collins. We're going to have John Mechie III, Philip Dorsett, Chris Conley. We're going to have Jalen Camp, and we're going to have Brandon Cooks. Dude, we got a cold squad. Chris Moore. We're going to have an excellent wide receiver package. It's just the question is, do we have a quarterback that's going to be able to get on the ball? That's going to be the biggest concern going into this offseason, and we'll know those questions this season. So as far as the Texans are concerned, I give our draft an A. Flat out A. That's what I give our draft. An A-. We filled up most of our positions we needed to fill up. Offensive line, wide receiver, safety position, corner. That's what we needed, and we got to even throw a linebacker in the mix. We're good. It's just that the biggest question for the Texans is, are we going to have a quarterback? Can Davis Mills be able to get these guys the football? Will he be able to progress given the fact that we've upgraded so much on our roster? That's going to be the only question, is Davis Mills. Is he the guy? We'll find out when the season starts. We'll find out this year. This year we'll find out. We will know. Now, getting to another point. The NBA playoffs. All right. So the NBA playoffs, we're already going through the first 2 rounds. The best team in the NBA playoffs right now, if you were to ask me personally, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because you could flip a coin in the air, Rick. Rick said it's the Boston Celtics, but did you see the way that the Bucks locked them down on defense, bro? You sure you want to say the Bucks are the best team? I mean, the Celtics are the best team. You still say the Celtics are going to win the whole thing? I don't know, man. I think they got a small lineup. I still think the Bucks come out of that series. I say Bucks in 5. So I mean Bucks in 6. I meant that's originally what I said the series was going to be. I think the Miami Heat are the dark horse of the NBA playoffs. Nobody's talking about the Heat, the Miami Heat. I know they're taking advantage of the Sixers because Joel Embiid's not playing because of his eye orbital thing. So we'll never really know if the Heat are the best team. But the Heat are quietly moving through the playoffs. Everyone's talking about Golden State, Memphis, and Durant. How you say his name? Durant or Morant, not Durant, Morant. And then you got Stephen Curry and Draymond Green and all those guys in Golden State. And then everybody's talking about the Phoenix Suns and can the Dallas Mavericks get over their hump? And then, the Eastern Conference is talking about, well, if Embiid and James Harden and them stay together, they can make something happen. And now Embiid's out, they're getting swept. It's done. Heat are sweeping the Sixers. It's over in 4. So the Heat are moving on. Then everybody's talking about Bucks and Celtics. Winner out of that should come out of the East. But no one's talking about the Miami Heat, though. The Miami Heat are quietly moving through the ranks. And that's scary because that same thing happened in 2020 when no one predicted the Miami Heat were going to come out of the East. And honestly, I think the Miami Heat has the team to win the whole thing. But I don't think they will. Something tells me that I think the Bucks are coming out of the East again. And then I think for the West, I did pick the Suns to win the whole thing this year. I'm still going to stick with that pick, Rick. I still got the Phoenix Suns to win, but the Golden State Warriors Memphis winner is going to give them some hell. It's been a fun NBA playoffs, and not one series has gone 7. Not one. Not one, Rick. So, Rick, who do you got to win out of since you're on, and I see you on Facebook, who do you got between Suns and Grizzlies? I mean, Grizzlies and Warriors. But that's a tough series. I got that going 7. You got Warriors in 7? Oh, I'm gonna go with Grizzlies in 7. But that's gonna be a good series, though, man. But I still think the Suns are the best team right now. I still gonna go with the Suns to win the whole thing. I think the way they dominated Dallas last night, they're up 2-0 in that series. And I like Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Alex Aiden. And I mean, they got a cold squad. Cameron Johnson, off the bench is pretty good. They got a really good cold squad, man. Jay Crowder, pretty good, a spot-up shooter, can play defense, can get to the board, dominate the rebounds. I like that Phoenix Suns team, man. I'm still going to go with Suns to win the whole thing. Phoenix Suns are going to just run through the Mavericks. I don't think it'll end in 4, though, Rick. As crazy as it sounds, I think Dallas can still win 2 games. I think they'll win game 3 and 4 at home and tie it. And then I think the Suns will win 5 and 6, and I think they'll close the Mavericks out in 6. But this has been a fun, exciting NBA season because everyone predicted Nets and Lakers. Those were the 2 teams that were building up super teams, and those 2 teams were supposed to square off in the NBA Finals. It was supposed to be LeBron James against Kevin Durant, and everybody was talking about it, and that obviously is not the case, even though I did pick the Nets to come out of the East, though. And then they ended up getting swept. So no for Kyrie Irving and no for Kevin Durant. I had them coming out of the East, Rick. I thought the Nets were going to just steamroll through the Eastern Conference. But so what are your thoughts about the Houston Rockets? Well, if we acquire the first pick, we got Ranchero from Duke, and then we got the other guy, Chet Holmgren, 7'1" center. And imagine you add him with Kevin Porter Jr. Imagine that, and Jalen Green, and have that trifecta offense on the court. The Rockets are in good shape if we can land a top 2 pick. I'll take either one of those guys. But Ranchero looks like that would be the obvious pick to take in the first pick. You pick the best player available. So the Rockets are good, man. We're going to be on we're probably going to have a losing season for another couple of years. It's just our turn to rebuild. The Hawks done it. The Warriors done it. The Nets done it. You know, every NBA team goes through it. Now it's our turn. We were blessed enough to have a good championship contender when Chris Paul and Dwight Howard and Harden and all of them were here. And now we're just going to have to rebuild, go young, and it's just a new generation of guys coming in. So we'll be patient waiting. You know, we have to rebuild. That's all it is. Do you think this is Chris Paul's last season to win? No. I think he'll still be in the league another 2 or 3 years. He's still in good shape. So I think honestly Chris Paul should stay with the Suns. I think the Suns have been treating him right. They've been treating him good. I think the Phoenix Suns should be able to keep Chris Paul for the remainder of his career. He looks happy. You know, he looks happy playing with those guys. And I can see them winning 1 ring out of this. I got them winning it this year. And I'm still going to stick my guns. I still got the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA Finals this year. And they rightfully so deserve it. In fact, they should have won last year, to be honest with you, when they were up 2-0, and then they ended up bombing Game 5. Game 5 was really when they lost. I still think the Suns should have won last year, and they didn't. It happens, whatever. All right, so I guess before I talk to politics and all that, you know, before I get into the juicy part of the video, I'm going to talk one last thing about sports, and that is baseball. You know, it's funny how people I watch these YouTube video makers, poor guys, and they talk about baseball in April like it's relevant. And they'll say, my team is on a 6-game winning streak. My team is on a 4-game winning streak. Or they'll say something like, in the 4th game of the season, the Astros square off against the Kansas City Royals. How many views and subscribers do you really think you guys are going to gain off of those lame-ass baseball videos? Because nobody's watching baseball, and especially in April. You could forget it. Well, that's not true. I watch all 162 games. Yeah, and they're probably like, 60 years old and older, the older crowd. Being honest with you, baseball is a dying sport. It's the most boringest sport in the world. Everything takes forever. It takes forever to throw a pitch. It takes forever to get in between pitches. It takes forever to get a strike or a ball. The umpires don't even know what a strike or a ball is anymore. It takes forever to do pitch changes. You get one pitcher out there, he throws maybe 10 pitches, and they throw another guy out there. They're like, oh, yeah, he's done for the night. What? He only threw 10 pitches. So the game goes on forever and ever in baseball. It just is a marathon of never endless shit. The coaches, the general managers go out there and they try to like slow the team down. And they're like, oh, we're going to go to the dugout and we're going to have a 30-minute conversation while you in between pitches while you're waiting for the next pitch. You're like, dude, these games are like 4 or 5 fucking hours long. And they're literally, the score is 1-0. Well, hell, if I was going to do that, I'll watch soccer. If I was going to do that. And they're like, yeah, man, that guy's trying to steal from first base to second base. Yeah. It's like, dude, you got 162 endless fucking games of baseball. It goes on forever and ever and ever. Who wants to sit through that crap and watch that garbage? I remember I went to an Astros game like 3 years ago, and it was against the Phillies. And the Phillies kicked our ass. It was like 7-1. And I remember it was like the first inning. You could hear a pin drop in the stadium. No arena music, elevator music. Somebody farts like 5 seats down, you can hear it. Or somebody screaming and yelling down in the sector down there. You can hear their conversation. That's baseball for you. Imagine sitting through that crap for 3 hours. And they're just like chewing tobacco on one side, half their jaw's missing. And then they're like, oh, well, this should be a good game here at Minute Maid Park as 2 teams square off for 1 out of 4 meetings. I'm like, oh, God, make it stop. So we got a long, endless a long, endless game of baseball, and everything is prolonged. Even the extra innings are long. You go to an extra inning after you sat there for 3 fucking hours in a game which only maybe like 2 hits, and you're tied at 0, and you're going extra innings, and they're like, "All right, we're going extra innings now," and it never ends in the 10th inning. Never ends. It always goes into the 15th, 16th, 17th inning. Motherfucker, that's another game. That's a double header I'm sitting through. Fuck that. So I just say, you know what, man? I'm not even gonna bother even watching this crap. I'm gonna watch baseball. Really, tell you the truth, I don't even know the standings right now. People say, "What? Do you know the standings and all that right now?" I heard the Yankees won 10 or 12 in a row. I'm like, I don't care, because 2 weeks from now, that's going to be irrelevant. And nobody's going to care about that streak. Why? Because it's May and no one cares. So baseball doesn't really matter really until about around June the 6th or the 7th, aroundish. And that's when people are kind of like, oh yeah, you know, basketball seasons, there's only the NBA finals is on, but guess what? Nobody's watching that crap because we already know who the winner's probably going to be anyway. So we only got baseball to watch until, you know, football comes on. You know, baseball is only watchable in June and July because there's no football or basketball. So you're like, all right, so I guess I have no choice but to watch baseball because I have nothing else to watch. So you have to watch it by force for 2 months. Then July comes around and minicamp starts. So you get a little excited for football and you're like, oh, yes, the preseason's coming. Thank God, because I'm sick and tired of watching baseball, you know. So then, you know, training camp comes. They're like, ooh, look at that training camp fight right there. Did you see those guys throw them haymakers? So you turn off baseball to go watch that because that's more entertaining than watching baseball. Baseball has become a boring sport, a sport that refuses to adapt. They refuse to change any of the rules, and they prolong everything from the season to the playoffs. They added more playoffs teams this year. Why? For what? You already have a long-ass season anyway, and now you want to add 3 extra teams? Dude, that's dumb as fuck. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard of. We're going to have a 12-team playoff instead of 10 now, and then you got to still play 162,000 fucking games. You know how expensive it is to go to a baseball game? Well, the tickets are cheap, but the parking's expensive. It can cost up to $50 goddamn dollars to park at a baseball game. Now, imagine you have tickets for you and your family at $5 a piece. You're like, yeah, man, I got a good deal on this. And then you show up and everything's fucking expensive. Your parking's like the cheapest parking ticket is probably $20, and you got to walk 8 blocks to get to the game. But if it's $50 and you're right by the stadium, you're paying $50, probably $75 for that parking spot. I can bet you're paying about that much. And I'm telling you this because I went to go to the Astros games. The closer you are towards the stadium, the more you pay for those tickets, those parking spots. And it's 50, sometimes $100 goddamn dollars for that goddamn parking spot. And they're making a killing on that. Baseball is like the workforce. Baseball is like the workforce. They refuse to fucking adapt. That's the problem. That's why I fucking hate baseball. Everybody says, why don't you cover baseball in the meantime before Rocket season? And you could cover the 182,000 games that are being played. No, I don't want to watch baseball. I don't give a fuck about that sport. I hope it dies. 162 games. The game takes fucking 5 hours. You sit through extra innings, you get 1 or 2 hits, and that's it. Who the fuck watches baseball for 5 fucking hours a day? You gotta be crazy to watch baseball that long. I see these video makers are like, second game of the MLB season, the Texas Rangers square off against the Kansas City Royals in one of 5 matchups here in Texas, Arlington. And first comes up to the, I'm like, dude, like I'm stupid and I can't turn on the TV and see it myself. Poor Astros guys. I see a couple of those guys come on here every now and then, and they'll try to do this live stream where they'll live stream the Astros games. And I watched a couple of them like, dude, and they have like nobody in their streams except for me. And that's to criticize them. And I'll come in the stream and I'll say, like, dude, save your daytime job. You're better off probably watching nothing than watching this because you're wasting time. No one's going to come in your streams except to troll you and fuck with you. Oh, man, you're just jealous because I'm on a come up. Yeah, sure, buddy. Let me know how that works out. Even the most popular baseball guys on YouTube don't even cover baseball anymore. They just do like maybe once every other week or something because they don't get the views. They're not going to get the clicks, and nobody cares about a sport that is it never ends. It never ends. Baseball never ends. There's a song that's called, you know that song, guys? Hey, Polston, what's going on? That song called This Is a Song That Never Ends. That's baseball. That is baseball. It never fucking ends. It goes on forever, forever, forever. Forever. Remember that scene with the kid with the glasses? What was that? Was it Samon's Lot, whatever? Remember, he's like, forever, forever. That's what baseball is. When you go to the game, you're going to watch baseball forever, forever, forever. And all the concession stand people are like, forever, forever. And then the umpire's like, forever, forever. The game never fucking ends. You'll be lucky if you get a baseball game that ends in under 3 hours and 30 minutes. You'll be lucky. Every baseball game is 5 fucking hours. And the Astros game start at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not staying up till fucking 1 a.m. to watch that motherfucker. And then they're like, we're going to extra innings now. The Astros and the Padres are going to the 18th inning. Man, fuck that shit. I don't even waste my time with baseball. In fact, I couldn't even tell you the standings right now. I don't even know what players are which right now. I could care less. I hope the Texas Rangers win the whole thing. That's all I have to say, which they probably aren't. But to be fair, I don't know how you guys do it. How do you guys watch endless baseball? It just makes no sense. I had a buddy of mine. He's like, you want to go watch a baseball game with me? I'm like, no, thank you. Views are going down all over YouTube. I watch Pac Nefever. I don't watch a lot of sports channels I'm sub to. The Astros home game start at 7. Well, see, here's the thing, man. They start at 7, but they end at like 11 at night. I ain't got time for that. And then they'll say, well, basketball takes forever to finish. They'll say, well, NBA basketball takes forever. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Basketball has way too many games. You're right. I've already said that 82 games is too many. You don't need 82 games to determine the top seeds. The game by the 30 game mark of NBA basketball, you already know who your top 8 are going to be. This maybe the last spot or the last 2 spots are still kind of like they're going at it. But by the 20 game mark, you already know 90% of your basketball teams that are going to get in. It's just them jumping each other for a spot. That's it. So I already said you go from 82 to 66 games. That's a fair, sufficient amount of games to determine top seeding. And for baseball is double the pleasure, double the fun. 162 games of meaningless shit and shit that takes too fucking long. 162 games. You might as well make it 350 games. Why stop there? You might as well have 200 games, 300 fucking games. It makes no sense. This makes no logic sense to have baseball. And baseball actually has something in common with today's workforce. Out of touch. They're completely out of touch. Which is what I'm going to go into in my next part of the video. We'll cover politics now. That's what everybody wants to hear. All right. I covered the Texans draft. Thought we had a good draft. Give us A+. As far as D-Hop is concerned, he got suspended for steroids. He can go fuck himself. I don't care about that guy. I'm glad. Fuck him. And Deshaun Watson is gone. Fuck him too. I'm glad he's gone. And that settles that. Anything to rebuild and get away from these 2 idiots, I'm all fine and dandy for it. I'm all fine and dandy for a rebuild. It's cool. It's whatever. The show must go on. All right, so let's go ahead and go over the politics part of it because I said I was going to cover that. All right, so the worker shortage and employers. All right, I'll go on the Biden paying student debt loans off next. After the fact. All right, so if you're an employer watching this video, you also take part of the blame of this shit going on. Well, why do you say that? How you gonna blame me? I'm a manager. Exactly. Because the reason why I say this is because you can't sit there and curse out your good employees or belittle your good employees or not reason with them, hear their frustrations, or you yourself are coming to work with a bad attitude and expect people to respect your authority or expect people to respect your gangster manager position. Your manager position means nothing if you don't have the respect of your employees. And you still have these old school employers that refuse to adapt. Refuse to adapt. And am I saying all employers are like this? No. But there are some of you dickheads who refuse to adapt. So you come into work with a bad attitude. You take it out on your employees. You tell them to get back to work. You don't fucking worry about your raise, no vacation, nothing like that. Because some of you are like this. I've met some of you dickheads like this. And then at the end of the day, you expect your employees to be loyal. So when they leave and find another job, your first reaction is, well, how could you sit there and turn your back on me? Nah. But the thing is you lack communication skills. You refuse to fucking adapt. You're stubborn. You don't want to listen to any criticism at all, and you come to work with a bad attitude. Who the fuck would want to work for somebody like that? Now, again, this isn't every employer, but during this pandemic, the biggest L's going around, holding L's, are managers like that. An employer that's like that. They're the ones that are getting exposed as well. Now, you're going to say, well, there's lazy employees. What about them? I addressed that already. I've already said you got lazy employees that sit in their car when they're supposed to be working, that are working at 10%, showing up late, leaving early on time, but I want my Saturdays off. Or I'm ready to go fight my social justice warrior. I ain't showing up this week. I addressed that already. But the employer side, too, is not exactly innocent themselves. They do some of this. They do some similar things on their end. It may be a little bit different, but they're still doing it, and they need to be called out. Some managers refuse to adapt. I'll give you examples. For example, at Walmart, you have strawman bosses that are in their 60s and 70s that are that are the old school tactics. Shut your fucking mouth, get back to work. That's fine. That's cool. You can do that. That is your job. And I'm not denying that. But when you don't talk to your employees, when you don't communicate with them, and the only thing you do is tell them to shut up and get back to work, you're not going to get any respect that way. You have to communicate with your employees. I was at Taco Bell on a lunch break, and there was a manager lady in there. And she bought a cake for the entire her workers, young guys in there, right? Young teenagers. And it was her birthday, and we just sat in there talking. I happened to be on lunch break. And I said, damn, that cake looks good. And I started talking to her. I said, yeah, I'm assistant manager at Walmart in my department. Yeah. And she said, oh, well, I seen you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you're real nice to your employees. I'm like, well, damn, it looks like you're treating them pretty well. You bought them a whole damn cake. She's like, well, this cake's for me, from my GM, but I'm going to give everybody a piece. And she says, she works the night shift, which is 5 to 1 at Taco Bell, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. because they stay open till 1, which they stay open later than we do, surprisingly. And she said she brings home food. She cooks food and brings it to them every day. The night crew gets food. And she doesn't have to do that. That's not part of her job description. She doesn't even have to do that. But she does it because she wants to establish a fucking relationship with her employees. Sometimes going beyond your job description or the rules or regulations, sometimes it helps. It helps with the camaraderie. It helps with morale. It helps with cohesion. And it helps bring two sides together. Because employees hate their bosses and their bosses hate their fucking workers because they think they're lazy, right? I mean, that's the typical shit you run into, you know? Okay? You got to bridge that gap and bring both together and eliminate that bullshit. Right? Managers like that win in the end. For me, I buy Marvin lunch. I buy Marquise lunch. I buy Canoe lunch. He's Indian, so I buy him Indian food sometimes, or I'll give him a gift card to this little Indian shop down the street. And I'll give that to him. I don't have to do that shit, but I do it just that way we're cool. We'll talk sports. We'll talk whatever. And Marvin said, yeah, well, you're the boss. I said, no, I'm not. I ain't your boss. I said, I'm an assistant manager. I ain't your fucking boss. We're all work together. We're a team. We work together. But you have bosses that walk in there, employers that walk in there, especially like managers, they'll walk in there and say, I'm your boss. Get back to work. Shut your fucking mouth, boy. And yeah, you can do that. That's within your right. Sure, you can do that. Sure. You can talk to whoever you want to like that, but they're never going to respect you. And the fact is, you got these old school bosses, man, they refuse to fucking adapt. They refuse to change their ways. I don't care about having no relationship with them. Nah. I don't care about being friendly with them. Nah, they gonna respect me. No, they're not, man. Times are different. See, 30, 40 years ago, when you worked at a steel mill in a small town or you worked at a factory and you had nowhere else to go, you had to deal with employers like that. You go now, fast forward to 2022, you have the option to leave your employer. You don't have to, you don't owe no loyalty to your managers. Even if they are cool with you, you don't owe them any loyalty because at the end of the day, you're doing what you got to do to advance. So you have some of these old school managers that'll say, these young employees ain't loyal. Millennials and Gen Z ain't loyal at all. They not loyal at all. They quit their job after like 6, 8 months. Nah, and they lazy. Nah. And here's the thing. The thing was back in the day, you had to work 20, 30 years for a company because you didn't have many options. Now there's so many fucking options for not just employers, but employees as well. Employees have options to go to different places of work. Like Polston, he worked in for example, a warehouse with a guy named Brandon who was a cool supervisor. He used to watch my videos. I don't know how he's been. I heard he found him the job. And then Polston got another job because guess what? He wanted more money. He knew he wasn't going to get that with his job. He knew it. He knew he wasn't going to get that money. So guess what he had to do? He had to apply for what? Better opportunities, right? No harm, no foul. It's the free market. It's the free fucking market. So Polston found a job that pays $26.50 an hour versus what he was making before, which is a lot more than what he was probably making before, right? So if that is the case, you know, you got employers that sit here and get mad and act like you owe them loyalty. I'm like, my dude, in life, you're always going to take better opportunities as you go on. So why are you sticking to these straw man steel mill tactics, which is cool and all, but in today's workforce, that doesn't work. You can't sit there and say, well, Polston, he owes me loyalty. God damn it, I was paying him $12 an hour, and that motherfucker just off and left me. Nah, but punk motherfucker. And I'm like, okay, but Polston went and got another job, and he's making double, so why are you mad? Like, why are you taking this personal? You know, I'll give you another story. This is a true story. One of my managers who refuses to adapt, right, had hired someone for my department. It was a white dude. I think his name was Weston or something like that. And I trained him the first day for the job of how to use the forklift and stuff because he wanted to get a forklifter's license, right? So a certificate. I said, cool. So I showed him how to use a forklift. And he told me, look, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I got an interview for 5 other jobs right now. So I may not stay here. And I'm like, all right, I don't blame you because you're going to pick whatever gives you more money. So I didn't take it personal. I just said, cool. Look, I'll show you how to use the forklift. And guess what? You can get certified and you can take that wherever you go. And you just have to renew the certificate every 2 years. He said, cool. So I showed him how to use the forklift. Check this out. So the next day he comes in, right? So he worked one day with Walmart, one day. He got hired at a Family Dollar distribution center, the warehouse company. And he said, look, they're offering me 3 days off a week and 4 days on it. No, 3 days a week at 12-hour shifts and 4 days off a week. And they're giving me, I think he said they're giving him like 19 an hour. Walmart was only offering him like 11, 12. So he was getting $7 more, plus he doesn't have to work an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5 or 9 to 5, working at Walmart 5 days a week to get 40 hours. He can get all that in 3 days and get 4 days off and probably find another hustle doing something else, which I think that's what he wanted to do. And I said, I don't blame you. That sounds like a really good offer not to pass up on. I probably would take that offer, if that was me personally. I said, I don't blame you. He said, look, here's my vest, here's my stuff, Ben. He said, we exchanged numbers and became friends after this. We text each other every now and then. And he said, yeah, man, we'll keep in touch. We talk every now and then. But he said, yeah, don't take it personal. I said, no, I ain't taking shit personal. I said, you're doing what you got to do to advance, right? So my manager obviously got his resignation after one day, and she's sitting there with her hands on her head, and she looks pissed, right? She looks pissed. Okay. And I went up to her and I said, are you mad about Weston quitting? She said, yeah. And I said, look, listen, don't take it personal. I said, this man's better in his own life. He owes us nothing in the end. She said, well, he shouldn't have ever accepted the job. And I said, I understand that. You're looking at it through your lens, because you're trying to fill a position. That's your job, right? Part of your job description. But part of his employment is to seek the best opportunity that's going to provide for him and his family. You can't be mad at that. In employers, a lot of old school employers have this mentality is, I'm doing you a favor by bringing you on, even if it's not the best package deal or it's not the best benefit, even if the manager says, well, my hands are tied and that's got nothing to do with me, pay grade, pay scale, that's fine. But the thing is some managers have this, what Brandon just said, let's pull it up. The manager, supervisor, stuck up and entitled. They have this entitled attitude like, I hired you for $8 an hour at 30 hours a week. Therefore, you owe it to me to stay with me. Like, you owe it to me to stay. No, that's not how the fuck it works. They don't owe you they don't owe you nothing. They don't owe you nothing. Employees or people you hire that are contracted based on contractual obligations for a period of time and until it ends, till that contract ends. So if you hire them for sub work or part-time or whatever, and they decide to find something else, they have the right. They have the right to end that contract, and they have the right to go somewhere else. So let's say Polston, for example, he said that his previous job at the warehouse, he worked with that really cool supervisor that used to watch my videos. He was making like 18, 19 an hour, but guess what? The Walmart distribution center for Polston's paying him $26.50. Why would he not take that? And to these employers, they don't think of it through their lens. They think of it like, well, I hired Polston, therefore I own him. He's my property, and therefore he has to stay loyal to my business. No, he doesn't. He doesn't owe you shit. He don't owe you a fucking thing. And a lot of these employers, not all, but a lot of them with these old school, you owe me loyalty. I don't care if I pay you $2 an hour. You owe me loyalty. No, they don't owe you loyalty. What they owe you is to show up to work on time, work the hours that's in their contract, and then leave promptly on time. That's all they owe you, my dude. That's really technically all they owe you. That's the agreement when it was signed on the contract. They have to show up the hours you give them. They have to be on time, and they also have to leave on time and not leave early. And they have to take their lunches or breaks, that sort of ordeal, according to labor laws, blah, blah, blah. But that's all they owe you. They don't owe you nothing else. They don't owe you to work off the clock. They don't owe you to work off their lunches, which I've seen some people do just to catch up. They owe, and then if they find another job, they don't have to turn it down because you don't have anybody else to fill that position. They don't owe you shit, except for what I just said. That's based on the contractual agreement. And until that ends, that's all they owe you, is to do the job you hired them for. If you hired them for maintenance, they have to do maintenance. If you hired them to push baskets, that's their job. If you hired them for the toy department, it's their job to do whatever's related in that department. That's what they owe you. They owe you nothing else. And some employers have this dickhead old school mentality that I hire you, therefore you give me 30 years of your life, 30, 40 years of your life. And then in return, when you file for a pension, I'm just going to fire your ass anyway, and then screw you out of your fucking pension. And hey, I got cheap labor out of the deal. You got some employers with that mentality where they're like, I don't care if I'm screwing you over. I'm getting cheap labor out of it. There are some employers that are like this. And during this pandemic, all that's getting exposed. These managers are getting exposed. If you are a bad manager and you know who you are, rather you sit in the office all day and do nothing and don't help out when your employees ask you for help and it gets busy, or rather you're a manager that hardly ever shows up, that never shows up, or if you're a manager that's entitled, walks around like a prick and tells everyone to get back to work and you don't bother communicating and having an open dialogue with your employees, you're the main ones that are getting exposed during this pandemic. You are the main ones. For those employers that are doing their job, that are having a communication with their employees, that are having an open dialogue with their employees and don't have the straw man boss mentality, and you are the winners in the end. If you do more than your job to help others, or you want to, let's say, for example, you order pizza for your crew. You don't have to do that, but you did it out of the kindness of your heart. Little things like that matter in the end because they see you're willing to go above and beyond your pay grade or your job to keep the energy going good. But if you're some boss that goes in there and walks in with his attitude problem, and you're like, get back to work and shut your fucking mouth, and you owe me 30 motherfucking years of your life, motherfucker. If you're that kind of person, you will fail. You will fail in the end. They never win. Maybe 30 years ago, when there wasn't that many jobs and people lived in a small town and there wasn't a lot of options, absolutely you could talk it to your employees. But now employees have options. This is the best time for an employee to be an employee, or an employer to be an employer, because you can go find other work elsewhere. There's tons of jobs that are hiring. This is the best time to work. I've said it once and say it again. But, and again, I know, like, what about the employees? What about those shithead employees that come in late? Go watch my last video. I've already addressed it. I said, if you're an employee that never comes on time, always leaves early, has bad fucking work ethics, and has an attitude problem, don't expect your employer to work with you. When an emergency comes, you may need to go to a funeral. You may have you may need a week off for a family reunion. You may need a vacation time or whatever. Don't expect things to go your way if you're a lazy, self-centered, entitled employee. And that also goes for them. And I addressed more of the employee on the other side, because when wage stuff happens, it actually happens more on the employee than the employer end. But if you're an employer that's entitled, bad attitude, don't work, don't communicate. I had managers tell me, why do you have open dialogue with them when if you just stay quiet and mind your own business, it'll work out better. Just try not to be friendly with them. Try not to talk to them. Let them just work and it'll be okay, man. We got it covered. I'm like, no, because if they're frustrated and you don't talk to them and they quit, are they coming back to talk to you? No, because you don't talk. Facts. You don't talk. You have to. If you can't, Rick said you can't be a hermit and expect and expect people to work with you. Exactly. You cannot work with the public sector and expect things to go your way if you're not communicating with none of your coworkers. And that's employer. Before I was an assistant manager, I got all my boss's cell phone numbers. I got all numbers to my closest friends at work. Hey, what time you work today? What time you get off with it? And we just talk, chat, sports, politics, whatever. The problem is there's no communication. There's no communication in the workforce. That's really the biggest problem. And the reason why I say this, because you walk into Walmart or you walk into any of these stores, no one's talking, no one's communicating. And when they are, they're going at it. I'm talking like rage quitting type of shit. That happens when no one's communicating. And you'll have managers walking around all day and not say a word. That's not good. You'll have some managers sit in the office all day, and when it's fucking busy, they refuse to leave their fucking office to help. That's not good. That's bad worth ethics, man. That's bad, dude. And then if you're one of those, and then like if an employee needs a vacation, no, you ain't getting no vacation. But when they take their vacation, they take it during the holidays, during the busiest time of the year, and they're not there. That's bad worth ethics. That's terrible. That's terrible work ethics. That's a bad worth ethic there. And what happens at the end of the day, you created a toxic environment because you have some employers that refuse to change their ways, man. And that's why you see this a lot happening. You see this a lot happening. Walmart is famous for that. But there's other companies, I'm sure, that's like this. Since I've been assistant manager, I've not had one employee quit in my department. I've had some employees tell me, I hate this job, but I'll work for you. When they say, I hate this job, but I like you and I work for you, think how that sounds. Rick said that's big facts, Rose. I'm the same way at my job. Most of my employees love me, and if they quit, they find something better, so be it. But I've never had them frustrated towards me because they know they can always come to me. Exactly. You just have some managers that refuse to fucking change their ways, and they have this dickhead entitlement where you get back to work, you're not taking a vacation, go fuck yourself, and you owe me 30 years of your life because I hired you. No. We don't owe you nothing. That's not how it works. There's tons of jobs hiring for the same pay, if not more, that somebody can easily go to. These employees only owe their employer to do their job while on the clock or on the clock, of course, to take their lunches and breaks on time and to work based on the contractual agreement that was signed during orientation. That's the agreement. They don't need to work off the clock for you. They don't have to pick up an extra shift, even though I encourage it. I think employees should every now and then bend for the employer too and say, I'm willing to pick up this shift. You need me to work this day? Okay, cool. So that way, if you need a time off or a day off, you say, hey, look, man, is it okay if I have this day off? You know, I picked up an extra shift. I mean, it would be great if I could have, oh, okay, cool. That's open dialogue. That's open communication. Sometimes I go 3-4 weeks without even hearing a manager talk. Now, you may say, well, that's great because that means that they're staying out of the way. They're letting people work. And I'm like, yeah, you could say that. But then also, you don't have – the problem is they're not communicating with the employees. So they don't know what's going on or whatever. And then, you know what I'm saying? Either way, rather they're silent, they give you the silent treatment, or rather they just say, get back to work and shut the fuck up and you owe me 30 years of your life because I hired you at $8.50 an hour. You know, like, dude, like – you cannot expect your employees to respect you if you're that kind of person. You have to have an open relationship with people, regardless of whether you're an employee or an employer. It goes both ways. You have to have an open dialogue. If not, you will fail. Facts. Why do you think I get the days off I want to get? A lot. Because I've just opened up good relationships with my managers. I had some of my ex-managers still call me this day, ask me if I'm still looking for work. I said, no, thank you. You already got 2 jobs. I still to this day get managers, my ex-managers calling me, ask me if I want to go work for them. Now, unless the package deal is so great I can't refuse, then I'm going to have to respectfully decline it. Because at the end of the day, whether you're an employer or an employee, you owe nothing to your fucking boss. At the end of the day, you owe them to work. You owe them the signed contractual agreement that we agreed on. And nothing in that contract says, oh, you 30 years of my life. Nothing in that contract says that. It says for the time being, until my ass is fired or until I resign, one or the two, I don't owe you 30 years of my life. And if I find a better opportunity, I'm not going to owe loyalty to some dickhead manager that's treating me like crap anyway to turn down a job that's going to better my life. No, you're going to take the better opportunity. And for some reason, some employers just don't get it. They think You owe them loyalty regardless of pay or regardless of this, and they can just treat you how they want to. Now, 30 years ago, that worked. 2022, with the expanded option of jobs and different types of jobs, even in the field you're in, and different contractors or different employers you can work for, you have the say so now. Employers do not realize that they actually have the say so now. They actually have a lot of power, and people don't even realize that. You know, like Marvin's one of my best workers. You know what? One day he may find a better job. Why hate on that? Why hate on that? You don't owe me loyalty. If Marvin said, yeah, you know, one day I may find better work or I may find better opportunity, I said, hey, dude, do what you got to do. Because I wouldn't tell you something to do I wouldn't do. You go and you take care of that opportunity. If the opportunity presents itself, take it. Who am I to tell you can't do it? Who is an employer to tell you can't take a better opportunity? No. You take the job. You don't owe anybody nothing. You owe them what's in your contractual agreement from the time you sign the orientation. Nothing in that orientation, nothing in your policy book says I have to spend 30 years here for the rest of my life to some dickhead manager because he can't hire nobody else for the position. You know what I say? That sounds like a personal problem to me that you have. Maybe you should change some of your ways. Oh, man, fuck you. I ain't changing shit. But fuck him. All right, cool. Then perish. I don't give a fuck. I'm finna do me regardless. The fuck you mean? I mean, there are employers that are like that. They just refuse to change their ways. And I've seen this at Walmart. And their departments are bad. They're run bad, run terribly. And they refuse to fucking change their ways because they're fucking stubborn. You know, and I'm like, dude, I'm actually trying to help your stupid ass and telling you if you would just change it up a little bit, you'll see the results. But guess what? You don't want to do it. And that's what it is, just stubborn motherfuckers. You know, it's just, dude, no one's going to want to work for you if you can't reason. And yeah, you don't want to be just too friendly with employees either, because then they won't take you seriously. And I get that too. But you can't just come into work with a bad attitude as a manager and throw these strong arm bosses around and yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs and expect people to respect you. You can't do that. You know, and especially if it's good employees too. And the sad thing about it is the problem is with a lot of workers too in the workforce is that lazy employees get away with a lot. They get away with a lot of shit in there. They know how to manipulate, con their way in the system. They know how to work the bare minimum that keeps their job. And meanwhile, you have employees that are busting their ass and stuff, and there's no incentives for those employees that bust their ass, like zero incentive. So because they have no incentive, they're not going to be encouraged. They're just going to get burned out. So what happens is, and this is a motto my father always told me that I do believe in, most of your employees never stay that are good. Most of your good employees never stay because they find better opportunity, better employment, better whatever. They find a better option eventually. And a lot of it tends to be because they have no open doubt. There's no communication with them and their manager. That's how it starts. Then it becomes frustration because they're doing all the work and other lazy employees aren't doing anything. So what happens there is you get frustrated and you just get burned out because eventually you're just like, I'm overworking myself. This isn't working. This wasn't the job that I thought it was going to be. You know, we got a team of 8 guys, but only 2 are doing work and 6 are fucking standing there watching, including all the managers. And then you're like, you know what, man, this ain't even worth it. And at the end of the day, you all still get paid the same, which sort of like almost like a socialist money argument within, you know, everybody gets paid the same in a capitalist environment, because you do have some socialism when it comes to certain things like that. And so you're like, wait a minute, there's no incentive for me to bust my ass and work as hard as I can when you got 6 other guys here that are barely doing anything and their checks are the same as mine. So then you get frustrated and you get tired and you're like, you know what, man, fuck this. I'm just going to find me another job. So then you find another job, and let's say one hires you like Polston. Okay. So Polston found a job that pays, you know, for example, $26 an hour. right? So Polston got a job at Walmart distribution center, 26, but the warehouse before that paid him 18. And then his boss is going to sit there and tell him, well, you owe me loyalty. What the fuck? You owe me loyalty to stay with me. You owe me loyalty to stay. It's like, dude, what the fuck? I found better opportunity. Why are you getting mad? You should be congratulating a motherfucker like that if they found better opportunity. Like, I remember a buddy of mine, he was a CDL driver. He worked in a private company driving artwork around Houston. And it was a small remote job, but he worked at Walmart before that. So he got a CDL, was driving out here. And it was paying a lot. It was paying him like, I think $10 more an hour. And he was just driving around locally. And I was just like, hey, cool. If you find something better, that's cool. Like that's the whole point, is to find something better and move up. You could be in the same field too. You just find another company that pays more. Like why aren't old school employers getting mad at that shit, bro? Like I just don't get it. Like I talk to these dickheads all the time. I'm like, dude, look, if the dude finds a better opportunity, you got to congratulate him. Why get mad at them for? Like, why you have this straw man fucking 1970s? You owe me 30 fucking years of your life, motherfucker. Like, no, motherfucker. I owe you the contract that we agreed on when I signed the motherfucker that was for my job title. That's it. And the contract you give me, the hours, the states I work, or whatever the agreement is, I go by that. I'll never understand how some employers refuse to change their ways. Like, I just don't get it. Like, it's weird actually to me, because it's like in 2022, like you have to have an open dialogue with your coworkers. Like that's any profession, you know, even if you're self-employed and you hired 10 guys, you want to be like, you want to keep open dialogue with them somewhat, like just check on them, make sure everything's all right. It may not be business necessarily, but it's the principle of manner, like going above and beyond your pay grade to do extra things that show that you care. That's the whole point. Because most people who are disgruntled, even customers, shitty ass customers, they just want their voice to be heard. That's it. So just pretend like you care, even if you don't. Just say, all right, that's cool. The customer voices their opinion about something they don't like. All right, cool. You know, like I'll take care of it. Or I'm sorry you went through that, and I apologize. I feel bad. You know, like something like that. Even if you don't mean it, just a troll, just like fuck it. And sometimes customers they'll see that and they're like, okay, this dude cares. So I'm not going to, you know, get like they just want their voice to be heard. That's the whole point. When someone's disgruntled, a lot of times they just want their voice to be heard. That's it. So you just be the one guy that listens and it's like, all right, that's cool. And they'll feel a lot better. 95% of your customers do that. They'll feel better and then they'll walk away gracefully. And then you have your 5% that'll still be mad. And that's when you're just like, I'm sorry, you know, there's nothing I could tell you. But again, it's like, dude, it's like some of these managers are just, they just fucking refuse to change their ways, man. They're just stuck on that old school mentality. It's like, dude, it's like, I remember one of my assistant managers was telling me, he's like, well, you shouldn't be too friendly with those guys. They'll just step all over you. And I said, no, well, never said I was too friendly with them. I just said I was being cool with them because it's good to have open dialogue. Duh. I'm like, you know, and their departments all run shitty. They have hardly any employees there, and they're all fucking mad, and they hate them motherfuckers. They hate the fucking manager that runs it. And that happens. You run into different departments where it's like that. It's very bad. And I'm just like, this is bad work ethics, because a lot of times employers refuse to change their ways, that they've been doing this for so long and getting away with it. Why? Let's see, no internet. Nobody really talked about these issues. This was just sort of came with the territory at your job, and there wasn't a lot of options for employees. You know, it's either, if you lived in a small town, it's either you applied at the steel mill or you applied at the fucking car dealership, or you didn't have another job, maybe a local store, but you didn't have a lot of options. But now cities are growing and options are expanding. Employees now kind of say, okay, I don't have to work here, but I can work there. Same job title, but this one pays a little bit more, and it has a little bit more benefits. Okay. So it kind of gives you a decision. You know, so when I hear this term about how millennials and Gen Z are not loyal, they have no loyalty or whatever when they come to their job, I'm like, it's not a loyalty debate. It's an advancement and opportunity debate. If they found something better, then they move to that next job. They're not contractually obligated to stay with you. Like, I don't see what's the big deal about it. Oh, well, you owe your boss. You owe it to your boss for 30 years. Like, remember back in the day when they worked 50 years for a company? I'm like, yeah, that does happen, but they didn't have many options back then. Now, as an employee, you have those options to go other places. And you could be the same field. It's just a different fucking contractor, a different sector. Like, why get mad? Like, I don't understand that. Like, how they can get mad about that. You know, and honestly, the bad employers are the main ones getting exposed during this time too. It's not just employees, but employers as well. And you got shitty employees. I addressed that in my last video. In fact, I was talking more shit about the employees than the employers, because most wage theft starts with employees clocking in, sitting in their car for 5 hours, not doing anything, taking 3-hour lunches when they probably clocked back in an hour after and sat in the back for 2 hours and got paid. You don't think I don't know that shit? Yes. Taking fucking hour break when you're only supposed to be gone for 20? Yes. We know. It happens. It ain't my job to snitch, but I'm aware of it. I don't say anything. Sometimes I like to take a little long breaks than I'm supposed to. You know, it happens. But I never take a 3-hour lunch or a 2-hour lunch. I just take my hour lunch. I may chill for like 10 minutes, come back, you know. But you know, a lot of employees steal time, bro. They steal more time than employers do, because it's easier for an employer to get caught, though, not an employee. If you got like 8 guys in your department, 2 of them could walk in their car and you wouldn't even know. You know, it's stuff like that happens. I don't care if you take long breaks when it's not busy, but when it's busy, man, you got to take your prompt breaks on time, man. You got to be back on time. 5-10 minutes over, maybe, but that's it, man. That's why when they say, oh, well, I've worked off the clock during lunch, and I said, yeah, and you sat in your car for the other 2. So you made up for it and then some. So like this idea that employers are aware that employees are working in these working conditions. I'm like, yeah, but then employees still time too. They just don't mention that. Clocking in, chilling in their car for 45 minutes. I'm just saying, they do it. I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And they sit their ass on the toilet for an hour, playing on their phone. We got a janitor there that does that all the time. There's a janitor that works there, and that motherfucker just sits in the toilet, and he sits on there, and about an hour goes by, I'll go back in there to go pee, you know, and that motherfucker's still in that stall, same stall, never left. That motherfucker. And one time he fell asleep in there, and I heard him snoring. I went to go take a shit. And the motherfucker was snoring in the bathroom. And he was there for about 2 hours. That was one long-ass fucking nap you took. Now, am I going to snitch on the guy? No. But am I going to deny that I don't see employee theft? Absolutely. All the time. I just never say anything. Because it's not it's not my position or job to do so. You know what I'm saying? Because it's already stressful as it is, working 2 jobs, and stressful as it is in life. Why add it to it and snitch on somebody like that, man? Just let that man do his thing. But I mean, if he gets caught, it's on him. You know what I'm saying? But to be fair, like, wage theft goes on both sides. It's not just employers. You got some employers that sit in the office all day and do nothing. Yeah, I agree with that, Rick. Absolutely. That does happen. I'm gonna go ahead and read the comments. Oh yeah, I already read that one, bro. I don't watch basketball, football, or baseball. Nah, baseball takes too long, man. Awesomeness. What's good? Manager, supervisor, stuck up, entitled. Hey, Bob, if you're still on here, I'll drop the link. Drop the link, Brandon. Oh, you want in too, Brandon? Hey, let's go, Brandon. I agree. New to the channel. Cheers. Joe Biden's awesome. I know that's sarcasm. Marquis says, drop the link. All right. Let me do that. Most employment is slave wage. Compare a cell phone business. I've been buying 10 vending machines this week. Damn, that's what's up. Businesses say that they still made the same profit during the pandemic. Very few workers, by simply overworking the ones they had. They had no incentives. Yeah, you agree? I agree. Actually, I kind of agree with Marquise on that. There's something we agree on. Should have gave A-Bomb the link. Well, if A-Bomb's still on there, I'll let him on. Let me go ahead and drop the link. A-Bomb, you work for a union, right? Do you think unions are the answer? There you go. I put the link in. Why not? If A-Bomb, if you're there, I tap the link. If anybody has anything they want to say about this matter, they're more than welcome to speak on it. I'm just glad I got my back thing done, man. None worse than having bad back problems. Rick said this is in all sectors of jobs, actually. You see a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, that's true. And why they refer to outside work outside the house as slave wage is because the fact that because companies do shit like this, and that's why they call it slave working under somebody's slavery. I mean, if the working conditions like that are bad and they don't have enough people and the people you do have are not as good, yeah, I guess you can make that argument. I still think we as humans are becoming lazier, meaning like I honestly feel like most people want to work inside the house. Like if it's a remote job or OnlyFans or fucking you're an Instagram influencer, a YouTube sensation or whatever. I think people want to. I think personally, people don't want to do labor work. I think like we're kind of getting to that point, and I think people would just prefer to just stay inside. That's kind of how I feel. Let me go ahead and let A-Bomb know real quick that I dropped the link. If he wants to come in, he's more than welcome to. Anybody can come in. I don't give a shit. Charlton, if he's A-Bomb, I sent the link. If he wants to come in. Yeah. I always go on these rants. I just wanted to do it early. Just get it over with. He said that's why employees are paid 1% per load they book. They determine their own pay. That's good. I heard unions are good for trucking companies. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was told. Yeah, hey, Bomb, I dropped the link, bro. You can come in. Y'all can come in. I don't care. Y'all want to say something on this matter? Well, no, I did admit, Rick, that employers need to change their ways. I did it. I said that. Like that lady at Taco Bell, man, she's got all of her employees on, like all of them are cool with each other. I'm like, damn, that's what's up. Like she has a system in place to keep the energy good. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's worse than working in a toxic environment. I'm telling you, like if you work in a toxic environment, I'm talking about like a business, let's say I don't know, like you work at like let's say a hardware store and you got like 20 employees and all of them are fucking it's a bad working environment. Marquise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure. I thought it was a troll at first.
No, that's amazing.
So what you have to say about the workforce, man? You think I was right? Think I was wrong? What's your opinion on it? Yeah, I mean, you're a trucker, you know.
If I can go back in time, I would immediately start a business when I was 19 or 20. There's no comparison. Like the difference between being a regular truck driver and actually owning the trucks is drastic. Like I went from making maybe a good truck driver with experience can make about $80,000 to $100,000 a year.
Okay,
bro. During the pandemic, I think I took in after taxes, probably like 240,000.
Damn. So wait, so you made 80 to 100 before that, and I was working under somebody or your own truck?
That was working for a company, like driving for the company or whatnot.
Okay.
Now that I'm an owner operator and I have a small brokerage. Last year I took in about 260 after taxes.
God, that way after or before?
After.
God damn.
Taxes. That's what I took in. Those brokers, man, they kill these lows, man. Once you learn this industry, the money between owning and working is so drastic. That's why I tell people, if you ever get into anything, always be the owner of your company. Right? I mean, you see, I take like month-long vacation. Matter of fact,
yeah,
I made that money and still took 3 vacations over a month long last year.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I probably could have made 300,000. You know, so
oh shit.
So I mean, it's
how much they take out in your taxes though? I'm just curious in Florida.
Shit, bro, how much? 29.
I mean, if you made 20,000,
probably about shit, I'm probably about 80,000.
Oh god damn! So you probably would have grossed in over 300 easily.
Yeah, I definitely would have grossed over 300. Yeah, bro. Like I tell people all the time. Matter of fact, I was probably gonna do a stream about how to start a trucking company. A lot of guys want to do, like my little cousin. He does hot shot trucking. He don't have a CDL, but he does hot shot trucking, which is it limits to what you can pull, but you can still do it.
So, so do you have a forklift on your truck too, in case they have to require you to get it off, or no?
I do mostly reefer loads, and I kind of book with the brokers where I don't have to really touch the freight.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, I kind of get an agreement. I mean, they have this thing called lumpers as well. So the lumpers usually unload your trucks for you, save you time and effort and things like that. So
what do you deliver?
Reefer units are mostly refrigerated goods because I'm pulling loads mostly out of Florida, and it's generally produce. Like that's my main companies I broker with. It's mostly like produce out of Florida. I used to do out of California, man, but the profits kind of been going down, so I cut that out.
How far in Florida do you drive, like give or take, if you had to?
I take them out of Florida. Like I'll take something out of Orlando, take it up to New York, and they come back down. Yeah, I'll find something to come back from New York to come back down. But then you can do like 2 or 3 loads in a week. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
And still have your weekends home.
So how's your contract work? Do they pay you by the load? Do they pay you by the mile? How does that work?
They pay you by the load. There's 2 ways. Like, I have a contract with like a few companies in South Florida pulling like produce and flowers. So those are dedicated runs. They pay me $3.50 a mile for every load, no matter where it's going. But then if I get to an area where I don't have any freight coming back, I'll go to what they call like a load board. These are what people put their loads on and now negotiate a rate. Now, a lot of times these guys may put a load up there for like $3,500, but that load actually pays $5,000. This is how brokers make so much money.
Damn.
They'll make $1,000 just off that booking somebody else's load. Like brokers make a lot of money.
So do you have to go through a broker to get those contracts, or you can do them on your own?
Not to get the contracts, but sometimes like if I'm in the area, like a lot of people think they can get into trucking and they're just going to book loads. They're just going to like find people. A lot of these people already have relationships. They already have people that they trust. So you get a load for $3,000, you may call and try to book it, but the other guy, he's been booking with this guy for 3 or 4 years. He's going to go to that guy instead of you. So you're like, I'm not getting any freight. Like, what's going on? Why am I not getting the good loads? That's because certain guys establish good relationships with other people.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, right? About
a lot of
people
come to trucking because they think I'm going to buy a truck. I'm going to get these good loads. And then they realize, damn, I need to establish my relationships with these customers first.
Okay. So how does buying your truck work? You have to go to like a used car a lot. Like, how does that work when you buy a truck?
It's like buying a regular truck, bro. Well, you got to first thing first, man. Your credit got to be A1, man. Just like buying a car, man. You go into a dealership and be like, "Yo, your credit is really, really good, like mine was." You want to put anything down?
Okay, I got a 762, so that helps.
I'll tell you what. If you really want to, even without a CDL, you can still start a truck. I was gonna do a stream about that. If you buy a pickup truck, let's say a 2500 or a 3500 Duramax or Cummins, like Dodge, something like that, you can like lease on with the trailer. You ever seen those RV hauling companies?
Yeah.
You can pull RVs and for those companies, make some money, and then buy your own, maybe a 40-foot gooseneck or a 33-foot gooseneck, and then start your company off of that.
How much they run you at, give or take, for a truck? Like, say you're starting off and you're buying your own truck. How much you think you have to invest? Once you get the money,
Well, if you're running to somebody else's own authority, pretty much nothing.
Okay, cool.
Let's say you just go to a dealership. Hey, I want this 2020 2500 Dodge Ram. Bam, you get the Ram. You go to a company, to an RV company, and say, hey, I want to lease onto you guys and run under you and not my own authority. They're going to probably help you with the equipment and this and that. And then
nice.
But once you run for those guys under maybe like 6 months, get your experience in, get your LLC, get your MCOT number, get your DOT number, and then pull for yourself. Then you'll be a contractor. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah. So how many? So what? Okay, so are you under contract with certain people? Like, is there so many, or you have to get a broker? Like how do you do that? Where do you
I
go for?
mean, technically, because I have my own authority in my own company, I do both.
Oh,
Because, like I said, when let's say I have a contract with a guy to take a load out to where do I go often a lot? There's a place in Texas, New Braunfels or some shit like that.
I know where New Brownsville is at the south. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that's what I
I
said.
know where New Brownsville is at.
A lot. And I don't have any relationships with anybody out there. So what I'll do to get back to Florida is I'll broker a load. Generally coming out of two places. I'm about to deadhead all the way to Laredo
Yeah.
and book something out of there from somebody I don't know.
Okay.
Or if I'm lucky, I'll get something out of Bluebell ice cream and then bring it back to Miami.
Mm,
So that's how that works. I'll take a load out that I'm contracted with, and then I'll broker from somebody else to get back to Florida.
damn, that's not bad at all.
So I mean,
How much driving do you do a week? Like, do you drive every day, or how does that work?
uh, I may drive for like a week, and then I'm kind of lazy because I'll take like a week off. I don't work that much. I don't work that much driving the truck, but I'll do it because that's where the big profit is. Even though I do technically own the company, like your employees got to be paid first, bro. Like that's where a majority of things come. You only make money once everything's paid for. If I'm doing a lot of the groundwork myself, I'll,
Yeah,
I'll make a lot more money. But if I just sat back and chilled and not did anything, I'll probably make about 8,000, 9,000 a year. You
that's
know,
not bad.
if I just didn't do anything, like I could probably just travel or just do this and that. But then I have a family, so I gotta take care of them. And plus, I like to do shit. So plus I wear the work. It sucks sitting at home all the time.
Well, yeah, I feel the same way too. How often do you take time off? Like just every now and then, or how does that work?
I actually work crazy. Like I work maybe 2 or 3 months. I ain't gonna say straight, but I'll go to the home. I go home, go fishing every once in a while. But I work for like weeks at a time. But then again, when I take vacation, I take months at a time. So I'll take a whole month off.
Yeah, that ain't too
So
bad.
yeah, because I mean,
How
like you're
many
not really.
travel trucks you have? Just one?
Say again.
You have just one truck?
I have 7 trucks that are company. These are guys who like work for me as employees. Now I do have 1099 contract
Yeah,
trucks.
yeah. That way you pass the tax down. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
companies do that.
Say again.
All companies do that with the 1099. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I got about 20 guys leased onto me. So
Yeah, because if you don't 1099 them, you got to cover the tax spread. So if your company grossed $1 million, but you have like 10 employees under you, that means you're responsible for paying the tax on that. So you have
yeah,
to
yeah.
1099 your employees who made their cut. So that way the IRS goes after them and then they pay their cut and you pay your portion.
Exactly.
That's how it worked. Yeah, I know how 1099 is working. Some of my employees got mad at me for that. I'm like, dude, we think I was going to let you walk away with 300? I mean, with however much you made for nothing? No, fuck that. And I'm covering your tax? Hell no.
Yeah, I'd rather have more contract, but sometimes I get some really good loads. And then I'd rather have my company drivers take it because I profit more off of those guys than I
Okay.
do. But company drivers has its benefits and it benefits more the company driver because they get paid $1,000 regardless. Like that's the way I pay my company drivers. Like you have $1,000 salary. Like if I can't find anything for you to book at all, which is very rare, you still get $1,000.
For
But
that week?
if I run you 3,000 miles and you're generating profit, your check for that week could probably be like $2,800.
Damn, that ain't bad at all.
So yeah, man, it's
So okay, so what's up with this truck? You're a trucker, so tell me what's up with this trucker strike going on? I mean, what is that? What are they striking for?
sad
Or
thing
why is
about
this
trucking, man
workers'
is
shortage
like
for
you
truckers?
really can't strike because somebody's gonna always. I'll be honest, man. Immigrants have came in and they kind of just took over the low freight game. They'll move anything. So whether you want to strike or not, is somebody else can just come in and take it. That's why truckers is hard for them to strike. If somebody says, "I'm not going to move my truck for $3 a mile," the next guy from India might go, "Well, I'll do it for $2 a mile." Bam.
Yep.
So
That's how companies avoid unions.
the only way to really strike as a truck driver would be to like stop the fuel trucks, but they're all company trucks. That's why you never see any owner operators pulling fuel. You know what I'm saying? But if you stop those company trucks, man, everything is shut down. You can't go nowhere but don't get no diesel.
Damn. So during the pandemic, you probably made a lot more during that time, right? Because they needed truckers. So what? So how's there a trucker shortage right now? Is it just people? Is it just a job that nobody wants? Or?
I think just nobody just wants. I mean, nobody really wants to be a truck driver, man. You can't really blame them. Like you're away from home for like. Well, a lot of these companies have set these rules up when you come in, like the insurance requirements for a lot of good companies is at least 2 years over the road. Like you're not gonna just get your CDL to come in and get a local job. You know what I'm saying? You got to have at least 2 years over the road experience. This is where these big companies are screwing their drivers over, like Prime and Warner and Swift.
Yeah,
they're having guys work for 3 or 4 weeks at a time for 2 or 3 days off. Like that's crazy. Like you'll have a guy on the road for 3 or 4 weeks straight. He only gets to come on for 2 or 3 days, and then he's right back on the road for 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, I mean, they're killing these young drivers, and they're not paying them shit. Like probably like 40-50 cents a mile. These guys making $1,000 a week. Like, come on, man.
And it sounds like a lot, but in actuality, you're getting screwed.
You're getting screwed, and you're losing your life. When you think about it, like when you get off work, you get to at least go home. Like these truck drivers are sleeping in their truck. They're away from their family. They're missing their time off. You know, that's the thing about it. My company drivers are home every night. Like they're home. The only ones I got contracted are OTR drivers, and they want to be out there. But my local drivers, they're home every night. Like they just moved day freight.
Damn, it just seems like it. Let me be honest with you. Do you think this country is moving into into like this? I mean, because I hear the term like that. You know, people are lazy and entitled. I'm not saying there's no truth behind it, but do you think it's more so that people just are trying to make money at home now as opposed to going out and working?
I mean, if I could make money at home, I would. I couldn't blame them. You know, the marketplace is always changing. Like you have to adapt whatever the market. Because I mean, traditionally, I'm a skilled gunsmith. But when's the last time have you ever heard somebody needed a gunsmith?
Never.
Yeah, the only weapons that I work on are like extremely customized guns that cost like $5,000 or $6,000.
Damn.
So yeah, so like people aren't really looking for gunsmiths like that anymore. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the blacksmiths got mad when people started driving cars. You know.
Oh yeah.
You just have to evolve with the market. Look, what's the best thing to do instead of finding a product and then trying to sell that product? What you do is find what there's a demand in, and then try to fix that demand. Like I'll give you a small example. My little brother, he started a company. He started his own company 3 years ago. What he did was go around on the internet and places and look for what motor parts were in most demand, and he realized that 50 and 60 Chevy parts or small block were like the carburetors were like in such demand. So what he did was go to a lot of junkyards, got many carburetors for like those motors as he could, fix them and clean them up, and then put them on the internet for sale.
Damn.
He sold out in 20 days? He's been doing that for 3 years.
So what do you think is eventually going to happen to the workforce? Like, let's say, like with all these jobs, like outside of the house, like you see a lot of these jobs are struggling, man. Like even when I went to go to the emergency room, bro, I went on the 24th for my back, and even them motherfuckers look like they didn't want to be there. Like, I've never seen that before. You know?
I think service industry should become bigger. Like the repair, like if anything that you should bet in, like repair robotics and repair automation. Get into that. Everything is they're trying to put so much automation. These trucks, matter of fact, they have a truck that drives from Denver to Texas with no driver. It's been doing that for 2 years.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It runs for Coors Beer. I know because it took my job. So,
and how does it drive itself? That's weird. It's like a robot driving it.
It has some type of system. It's a really easy route. It's a really easy route, and it just drives itself. But I think that's where trucking is going to be headed to. I think a lot of jobs are going to be headed. Like half the people that load these trucks now is like robots. I know Budweiser. Budweiser doesn't have any
That's
employees.
scary.
Yeah, robots load the truck at Budweiser. I know that for a fact.
Damn. So you think eventually automation is going to take over a lot of these jobs?
Yes, I give it maybe 20 to 30 years.
Wow,
automation.
That's scary.
I know Walmart's got the little scanning robot.
Yeah.
I've seen those in some Walmarts out west. They'll because I know they have the employees. I used to go down there and scan the shit, whatever.
Yeah.
But now they have robots doing it.
Yeah, they do, and they're actually building a robot to take shit off the truck, and I'm like, well, damn, that's gonna suck.
Well, Walmart is one of the most like their tactics. Like I know exactly how they work because my friends are like a GM over at Walmart or some shit like
Yeah.
that. Man, he's like they come into an area, they look at the prices, they set their prices right under the local prices to undercut everybody,
Yeah.
and they drive everybody out of business. Once everybody's out of business, they raise their prices again.
Yep. They do that with Kroger's and HEB too.
Yeah, man. So I think but with more animation is going to come a lot more people that's going to have to fix and repair, and I think things like that industry is going to take off. I invested in Tesla. I think Tesla's going to be a leader in that. I got about like 60 grand in Tesla. So
in the stock.
Yeah, hopefully that takes off.
Damn. So what stock are you invested in?
Tesla, Amazon. Amazon's about to split, by the way. So as soon as they split, I'll put some money into that. Cause they've been like their stocks have been like $3,000 for a share forever. But I know they're gonna split maybe like a month or two from now. So whenever they split, man, I will grab some of that. I got EFTs too. Like these are like it's like several stocks built into one, so you kind of don't really lose, and it's more of a safe bet. But right now, Tesla, Nvidia, I've had an Nvidia stock forever. It still ain't brought me nothing. Blue, that's the smaller companies because that's where your money's gonna be at.
Damn. So with automation, how long do you think truck driving is going to last until they take over? You said 20, 30 years?
30 years? Man, I'm just gonna guess 20, maybe 25 years from now. I think most trucking will be automated, or a lot of routes will be automated. I think what they're gonna do is do it more like the trains, like there's certain routes that just auto trucks take trucks on.
Damn.
Drivers may do it. I worked for CSX for a small bit too, and it surprised me how easy the railroad was, bro. Like I was how old was I worked at CSX? I was like 20, and I was making like $23 an hour. And I was making good money at CSX, but everything was automated and like it was really easy. Like the train tracks moved off of gravity on timers. Like it was really easy, but they lay people off like left and right. So,
Damn, that's gonna suck for people in the future.
Yeah, but CSX was easy, man. But I think automation is gonna take over a lot of things, and it's just gonna leave a lot more people unemployed because companies don't really care about the employee. It's all about profit. No. Like whatever these guys can do to make money or take advantage of people, they're gonna do it. That's one thing I don't like about. One thing I don't like about America is how they do their money system, bro. Like they'll say $39.99, but then you're only paying $43 or $50. It's like, then that's not what the price was. As long as they tell you the price at the counter, and they know that the person's not gonna go anywhere because they're already there, so they take advantage of people.
Yeah, so it'll say like $29.99, but $38.
Yeah, it's like won't just put $38 up there. They do that all the time.
Yeah, just add the taxes.
Yeah, other countries do. If something is 58 pesos, you give them 58 pesos. That's it.
Yeah. Are the taxes high in Florida?
Say again.
Are the taxes high in Florida?
Florida doesn't have any state tax, so that's why a lot of New Yorkers come down here.
Same thing with us.
Yeah, they don't have any state tax. The only reason why my company's based more in Georgia and then drive to Florida and then come back is because Florida has a lot more regulations on truckers and emission standards. So it's easier to have my yard located in Georgia, drive all the way to Florida, pick up their loads, and then come back out. I'll save like 30 grand a year doing that.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Just even with the fuel costs, like my yard is like right there on the border in a town called Valdosta. So it's really easy, man. They just drive down to Florida, get their produce, whatnot, and they come back out. And I'm technically a resident of Georgia, but I live in Florida. I have a place in Florida, but on paper, I live in Savannah. So
yeah, I know where Savannah is.
Yeah, so that is for tax purposes, man. Florida. That's why Florida has a lot of toll because they don't have any state income tax.
Damn. So you learned all this stuff.
Man, this is thing that you learn over the years, man. Like businesses are cutthroat, man. Nothing is designed to help you. Everything is designed to take advantage of you. Even if they're smart, even if they're nice to you and they're smiling, it's always going to be designed to take advantage from you. Because I had a mentor, Big Red, big redneck dude out of Cordell, Georgia. He's like 6'7". He taught me so much about the trucking and brokers and this and that. Like he just taught me a lot about the business, and that's why I tell people, man, if you try to get into a business, find you somebody that's successful and listen to them. You know.
That's for how long? That's for how long have you been
for? Shit. Technically, I've had my CDL since I was like 21, but I've only been like ran a business since I left the bureau. I'm trying to think. I'm 37. I left the bureau about 6 years ago, so 9.
Damn, that's not too bad. When you first started off, who'd you work under? Was it just like a friend? No, I actually started with a bigger company. They're out of business. Right? A lot of truck companies go out of business. I think they were called Central Refrigerated, but Swift bought them out. And then I worked for a company out of Texarkana. They're out of business as well. I can't even think of their fucking name. I can't even think of their name. Oh, SRT, Southern Refrigerated Transport. That's what's up.
And then I just eventually bought my own truck, and then I bought 2 trucks, and then I bought 4 trucks, and I sold those 3. I sold those 3 trucks, and then I refinanced my house for like $100,000 extra, and I bought a brokerage and bought those other companies. That's when I started the company. But it's been a wild ride, man.
So did you like owning your own truck company for the bureau?
Yeah, I still had a small company. Technically I had a small company, but it was like 1 truck. So technically it's a company, but when I left the bureau, man, I was just getting tired, man. Like that shit takes a toll on you, man. You seeing like dead bodies and people crying. It's just I couldn't do it no more. Plus it didn't pay that well.
So you're saying at the end of the day, like most of these companies, they just care about the bottom line.
That's every company. You got to get that mindset that nobody, like the business world is so cutthroat. Like you got to get that mindset that nobody gives a damn about you, and they're trying to get the most out of you as humanly possible. That's how businesses make it. Yeah, that's how businesses make it in America.
You know, you're absolutely right, man. Sad as it is, but do you think a lot of these companies get exposed, or you just think it's just every company that's like this, just a reality?
Every company, every single company. Here's the worst. Yeah, healthcare is the worst.
But do you think people are mainly convinced though that like working outside the house is kind of like slave labor? Is that where they kind of get that from? You know, like companies don't care about you at the end of the day, they care about the bottom line. So that's where they kind of get like, well, if you work outside the house, like ideally you want to work from home, because if you work under somebody, you're probably going to get screwed.
I mean, you're trying to get the most comfortable situation as an employee. You're trying to get the most comfortable situation as possible. Like my employees, like most of those guys work from home, and I was trying to get it where they come in like maybe once or twice every other like week or two. Man, them motherfuckers, I thought they was gonna like revolt on me, bro. I was like, oh no, don't worry about it. Just everybody just stay at home. Like they did not want to come into like to the office, and I'm like, I guess they technically don't have to. So, because some of them aren't even in the U.S. Some of them are living in DR. So
what do you think about remote work as general? Do you think that that's good now? Like, do you think nowadays that's sort of how the market is now? Just kind of like let people work from home? I mean, I know every business can't do that, but ideally it seems like that's where they're going to. Does that make sense?
I think that's great for the employee, because if you're working from remote, you can live just about anywhere. Like, why live in the States? With the way housing has been in the last couple the year or two, bro, like I have properties, and the companies that have my properties, they raised the rent, and like I've noticed I was getting more money. I'm like, damn, where's the extra money come from? They're like, oh, we raised the rent for you, which is in the contract. And what they do is they raise the rent to hit the market. So I'm noticing like the houses that I rented for like $900 a couple years ago, they're rented for like $1,800, $1,900.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, damn, you know. So if an employee is working remote, they don't even gotta live in the U.S. They can go live in Medellin. They can go live in Spain. They can go live somewhere where they can actually afford to live, and I don't blame them.
So what are your thoughts about the whole inflation thing? Do you think that's all just like you all think this is capitalism at its finest, or do you think there's? I mean, what are your thoughts
And
about the whole thing? Like
I
when it
think
comes to food and
Biden flooded the market of cheap labor. Like, if you ever noticed the places that grow the fastest generally have the cheapest like labor. Like, this is why
yeah, like Texas, yeah,
San Antonio is blowing up
yeah,
because what do you think the first stop is for guys crossing that border? It's San Antonio, really. Then
yeah,
they had to Houston. Then they had to Houston because if you know anything about construction, dude, labor is probably your biggest issue.
yeah,
And this is why Miami blew up. Miami blew up because in the 80s, when you well 70s, 80s, you had a lot of Cubans flooding into this area, and they were just looking for any type of work. Miami was a shithole in the 80s, bro. I'm telling
mm,
you. But what happened was so many Cubans flooded into South Florida, they had an abundance of cheap labor. This is what built Miami up in the 90s. So uh cheap labor. Then now what Biden was doing was he had so many incentive programs for people to just not work. A lot of people just don't have to work. Like, trust, if you took away EBT and you took away Section 8 and you took away a lot of these other programs, man, you have a nice market of people willing to do anything. You
no,
know,
you're right, you're right.
if I'll be honest, bro. If I didn't have to work, bro, I would live off the minimum, dude. I don't really need that much shit in life. Just I go fishing, play Xbox. I'm good, bro.
No, I mean, I understand that people ideally don't want to work. I mean, like outside the house, like labor. I get a lot of Americans are like, well, you know, that's a lot of hours. I could injure myself, you know, and then the conditions of work. And I get that, but in order to drive this economy, like you need banks and restaurants, and you need a moving company, you need construction work because you need new neighborhoods to develop, or you may need a new building to be built. So eventually, people got to take these jobs, right?
Jobs, right?
Take that seal up to the guard shack so they can verify your seal number and paperwork, all right?
All right. I was talking to the little dude. He just finished loading the truck, but I'm gonna talk to you later, bro.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. All right, look at it.
Well, I think that's what Marquise was referring to, Rick, was he was talking about how automation is going to take over. And eventually there's going to flood all them out. He's a trucker. He even said, hey, look, there's a truck that drives itself from Colorado to Washington. He said, that's how I lost my job. I was like, damn. So if you think about it, man, that's scary. If we reach those times where automation does take over. Let me see if Polston has anything to say on this. I'm going to go ahead and message him real quick. I just want to see what he says. I'm a comment on the Biden thing right now. Let me see if Polston, are you on, bro? You can jump in here if you got something you want to say, because I know you always have something informative to say. Let me go ahead and send you the link. Come on in. All right. So Biden and his student loan debt. That's what I want to talk about. That's the next one I want to cover real quick. All right. So Biden and his student loan debt. Apparently, he's promising to pay off the student loan debt. That's what, or a partial amount. I think he said it was anybody that made under 125,000 a year or something like that, he was going to cover their debt. And I was like, you know, it sounds nice in theory to erase a lot of the student loan debt. Because to tell you the truth, a lot of these college students just don't have the money to pay it. I'm gonna be honest with you. But then my issue is I paid for my degree. Like I had to pay my loan back, and I paid it. So am I going to get my money back? Probably not. You know, and most college degrees are worthless anyway, in my opinion. But I'm just wondering what happens if you know, the people who that may go to college in the future, and they have to pay you know, their loan, and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, Biden, you gave these kids, you gave the ones before us a break. Why can't you give me a break? You know, and what about people who've already paid off their college student loans, like me, that already paid it off? Like, I know I'm not going to get my money back for that. And I wasn't expecting to, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, you're kind of paying off people now, but what happened to the people before and what's going to happen to the people after when they go to college? Like, let's say, okay, Biden says, okay, I'm going to cut off student loan debt. I'm just going to raise the debt. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay it back. No big deal. So anybody right now, as of today, if you're in debt for college loan debt, don't worry about it. And then next year, the next kids that are going to college, they have to apply for a loan because, they're getting a degree on whatever it is, whatever the field it is they're going into. Rick, what do you think happens from that point when they have to pay their student loan debt and they realize that their brother or something didn't have to pay his, or the people in the previous class didn't have to pay? Like what happens then? Because they're going to bitch too. They're going to say, wait a minute, what about my debt? What about my college loan debt? And it's sort of like, okay, well, where is the line in the sand drawn at? Is this debt going to be paid off for every student in the future? I mean, like, where exactly are they going with this? Is I'm wondering if this is Biden's attempt to get reelected. Biden will not win the next election, Steve. I know that, but I'm just saying that I'm wondering if this is a tactic that Biden's going to, he's going to do in order to try to get some sort of, if he's going to try to, win the election off the young voters. This is what he's going to do. He's going to say, hey, I'm going to erase your debt. I'll print you up probably another $1,500. I know you're struggling. Okay. Just vote for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering if that's his last ditch effort. And that's what I'm wondering in this administration going forward. Is this, I have a feeling what Joe Biden's going to do is he's going to say the reason why the gas prices are so high is because Vladimir Putin declared war on Ukraine and the war and everything like that. Not to mention that a lot of these oil executive bigwigs are making a ton of profit off of this war. 20% increase stocked, and some of them are cashing in on their assets. Now, some can say, well, that's capitalism and there's no morals, but then others will say, well, that's just ethically wrong for oil executives to be cashing in on the war. And they are. I mean, if you looked on Capitol Hill, I mean, one of the guys that was there, he said something about he said, well, I only cashed in 10% of my stock during the Ukraine war. They're like, how much did you make? He's like, well, I only made 99 million. Like, he just said it like it was no big deal to him. Like, it's no big deal. Why are you getting mad at me for cashing in on my stock? My stock went up 20% and I cashed in 10% of it. It's not a big deal. Like, I only made 99 million off the war. It's not a big deal. Rick said, a fun fact, a lot of these oil companies are withholding the oil and then distributing it at small amounts to make people pay more and then just jack up the prices. Yeah, the same thing they're doing in the food industry. A lot of these companies are distributing food. That's why you see a lot of shelves that are low. It's not that we don't have the food. We do have the food. It's just the fact is they're withholding it and then they're just jacking up the cost to see how bad you're willing to pay. I'm wondering what Joe Biden's plan is in terms of what he's going to do to try to win voters, because he has to know that he doesn't stand a chance in the next election. I have a feeling they're going to vote him out. And respectfully so, he's an idiot. But I'm wondering, if I'm Joe Biden, how do I regain the trust of the state back in my voters, of the country back in the voters? I'm thinking what Biden's going to do is he's going to print up a couple more stimuluses. I have a feeling. And then he's probably going to say something like, well, we'll make an extension to those of you who can't find work, probably similar to like the extra COVID check. I think he's going to print up a shitload of money to try to get the votes back. And then I think what he's going to do is he's going to say, the reason why the gas prices are high is because Vladimir Putin and Russia declared war. And it took us a while to redistribute or to get a new contract in place with other neighboring countries to get a deal done in time. And then, and from there, I think that's what the plan is going forward. I think that's what the Biden administration is going to do. They're going to print up a lot of money and they're going to blame Russia for the high prices in gas. And we all know once the gas prices go high, everything else does. Food, and all that. Let me call A-Bomb real quick and see if he wants to chime in. Hopefully he'll be there. Let me see. Hold on. Hey, A-Bomb, if you're watching, you can come in, man. Polston, you too. If you want in, you can come in too. Yeah, Rick said Marquise is right about that, Steve. He said most of these companies give jack shit about their employees, so why care about them? You're right. Listen, I'm not blaming everything on employees. I'd say the employers share some of the blame. Did you not hear me say that, Rick? I said employers share the blame too. They're not innocent on all this. If you have a bad company that doesn't really care or whatever the case is, and that doesn't care about the team morale or working conditions, then hey, you're going to suffer right along with the employees that I called out on this. So it's not just employees' fault, it's employers too. We all take L's in this at the end of the day. Yeah, but Walmart made record profits, Veronica. You're right. Yeah, Walmart did make record profits during the pandemic, and they did give employees a $2, $3 raise, but I think it was just for the front end. Yeah, I actually got 2 raises, plus I had a good start in wage pay. Yeah, absolutely agree. I agree that companies need to start caring about their employees and stop caring about just the bottom line. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, companies are going to do what they got to do to make money. I mean, that's just common sense, Veronica, but they need to care about their hardest workers. Your hard, good employees need to be recognized. There has to be incentives. You can't just expect, your straw man talking points, as in shut up and get back to work, to your good employees. Because at the end of the day, your good employees is what keeps your company afloat. You want to keep your best workers to the best ability, especially if they got a great attitude, they come to work on time, they leave on time, that sort of ordeal. You want to keep your best employees, period, point blank. Let me go ahead and put the link back on here in case you guys want to get on. Let me give you the link. And see if anybody wants to add anything to this conversation. I mean, was there something that I left out that I missed that you guys think about the whole worker shortage? Am I too hard on worker shortage? Like, what are y'all's thoughts? Get somebody to chime in and maybe give their input on it. Hey, man, I agree. Bro from the Brum, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, I haven't really been making videos like this in a while. What are my thoughts about Elon Musk? I don't have any issues with him. A lot of people hate him. When people say, oh, well, these super rich elitists can donate to charity, what they're really actually saying is, can you donate to my Cash App? Why don't you donate to my Cash App instead? That's how people are. Just saying. It's the truth. When people are desperate, they'll do anything, to stay alive, and I get that. And whenever they say, well, you could donate to charity, that's just a cop out for saying, well, you could give that money and pass it around to everybody. But I'm gonna be honest, man, if you notice, most successful people are actually the most greedy motherfuckers. And there's a reason for that. Because a lot of the times people don't really deserve to be saved. A lot of times, and I'm not saying this from a biblical standpoint, I'm saying this from reality, is a lot of people don't appreciate shit you do for them. I mean, it's very rare you meet somebody that appreciates the kindness that you do for them. Most people will kiss your ass until you give them money or whatever. And then when you do give them something, they turn around and say, well, fuck you. You should have never done it to begin with. Like, that's the attitude they have after the fact. They'll kiss your ass long enough until you give them what they want. And then once you give them what they want, they're like, fuck you. So I can understand why most people in positions of power tend to be greedy, because they don't trust a lot of people, and they know that if the shoe was on the other foot, the other people would say the same thing. People said, Rick said, yeah, Marquise is right. The business model is a very cutthroat. Nobody gives a shit about you at the end. Same thing in the dating market, and same thing in all other forms of life. Yeah, people are cutthroat, man. And Marquise is right. Absolutely. He is right, Rick. People are very cutthroat in general. I mean, people will kiss your ass until you give them the money. I remember, like, my dad used to do a lot for his brother. And then one day, like, they got into it. I remember I overheard my old man telling him, he was like, what about this and that I did for you? And then his brother turned around and said, well, you should never done it. Maybe you should never done anything like that for me. That's basically what his response was. In reality, is kind of true to a degree. It's like, you can only do so much for people, but at the end of the day, like, if no one wants to help themselves, or people don't appreciate what do you do then? You just get frustrated and say, well, fuck it, then I'd rather just be alone by myself, not work around others, not be around others. So to a degree, I kind of don't blame people for wanting to stay at home, because they're tired, they're fed up. So they're just like, fuck it, I'd just rather work for myself and not even have to deal with anybody. But the problem is what do you think happens in a scenario where these jobs, I tell you, that are outside the house need workers? Like, if I go to the grocery store, how am I going to be serviced if nobody wants to work there? Now you could say, well, robots will, you have to self-scan your own groceries. And yeah, that is true. We do. I've been seeing a lot of that. But what happens if we don't get robots for another, 30 or 40 years? And what happens if 5 years from now we have a worker shortage pandemic of epic proportion to where no one's taking those jobs? What do we do then? People got to stock the shelves, right? You got to have your shelf stocked. You got to have your water stocked, food. You got to have access to food, right? What's going to happen when no one's behind the counter? That's where I feel like our society is going to, where everybody just works at home and no one leaves the house. And when you do leave the house to get your services, fill gas, get food, see a healthcare physician, go to the emergency room, and no one's there. I think, to me, it almost seems like that's where we're going to. Because even nurses and doctors, they put a lot of time in stressful hours, and they're away from their family and stuff. And they're like, well, instead of doing all that, I could just chill at the house and do something else. I just feel like the workforce is going to move into a dark place. And I feel like it's only going to get worse. Now, I don't want to say Great Depression, Rick, because I know you say, well, what about the Great Depression in the 30s? I'm not going to say we're going to get to that, but I think it could be possible, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years. It's scary, man. It's a scary world we live in, and I'm nervous where this economy is going. It's easier. Rick said it's a lot easier to go online and do things, but of course, outside of the house is going to be the problem. Yeah, because outside of the house, people don't want to put a lot of hours in their job. That's fine. I get that. But what happens when you have a worker shortage and the people who are there don't want to stay that long? I get that. And I understand why, because they're either overworked or too many hours of this. What happens when they leave and then you just don't have anybody? I know you're going to say, you're overthinking things. You shouldn't say it like that. And maybe you're right, but it's just, I don't know, man. I just, with this whole like worker shortage of people, rather it's wage shortage, rather it's company policy, the way you're being treated, all the above, I'm just wondering where it's going to go, man. I have a funny feeling that until we see voice automated systems, we're going to continue to see long lines when you go to the bank, to go to get food, healthcare, all the above, man. It's scary. And that's why I'm so nervous, man, because I'm nervous that could happen. Is A-Bomb coming in? I don't know. I'm gonna try to call him. Let me call A-Bomb real quick. Let me call him real quick. I'm gonna see if he wants to come in. See if A-Bomb wants to come in. What's up, serial killer? Calling A-Bomb, see if he wants to jump in, man. Nah, he not answering. Polston wants to come in. Polston, you can come in. And Polston may be at work. Hey, Bomb, I got a stream still going on. You want in? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Didn't mean to bother you, brother. All right, bye. Yeah. He said he's at work, guys. So he wanted to come in earlier, chime in. He said, I'm kind of working right now. My bad, bro. You see that the thing is, man, it's like you got painters and plumbers, doctors, nurses, all these positions, and all the age, it looks like they're 40 and above, bro. It don't look like there are that many young people. And that sounds all fine and dandy on paper. But now let's say 10, 20 years go by and it's time to retire. And you need these next generations to take those jobs and nobody's taking them. That's going to be a scary thing. Imagine, okay, I had somebody tell me, why do you care if this economy falls? Like, why do you give a shit so much? Like, why do you talk about that? Why don't you talk about Kim Kardashian? Here's my response to that. What happens when you go to the emergency room? One day you're just chilling and your back goes out, right? And you're like, fuck, I got to go to the emergency room. So you drive down to the fucking hospital and you're in a shitload of pain, mind you, like I was when my back went out. Couldn't sit for 5 days. And I drive to the hospital. You get there in the emergency room. And then they're telling you, oh, it's going to take you 2 hours to see a doctor. Meanwhile, you're in a shitload of pain. Yeah, Desert Eagle 90, if you want to come in, we just had a truck driver on here earlier. You just missed it. He was telling us about the trucker shortage and how young truckers are getting screwed, only making 1,000 a week and having to drive for 5 days straight with 14 days straight with 2 days off and 14 days again. And he was telling me it was better to own your own trucking company. Dude, you missed all that. You got to rewind it when Marquise gets in. He tells you all about that. If you're a trucker, tell me what your experiences are with the trucker shortage. What do you think's the reason and stuff, man? If you want to come in and chime in, that'd be great. I was always told truckers make good money. But he was telling me that the young truckers are getting screwed. He said that they're barely making like 50 cents a mile for a lot of these companies. Oh, yeah, Arito Beckett, man. I addressed the draft earlier. Texans hit good on the draft picks, especially the first 4 or 5. We addressed the corner position, the safety position. We addressed linebacker position. We also got an offensive lineman. I don't really care about the running back, Damian Pierce, or whatever his name is. We already got a whole bunch of running backs. And then we got John Michie the third at receiver. So he could be our slot receiver. He might be even our second go-to receiver behind Nico Collins or Brian Cooks. So I feel like we hit a lot of it. Hey, speaking of Desert Eagle, here goes. You're driving. Hey, man, what's going on?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I'm actually going local right now. So, you know, because I'm a family man. So it's not always for those that's, family.
Okay.
But you can hear me nice and clear?
Yep. So let me ask you something. You got your CDL?
I do. Have my CDL. It'll be 3 years when it's September 20th. It'll be 3 years.
So what do you think about the trucker shortage, man? What do you think's the reason behind it if you want to chime in on it?
Well, I actually used to work for one of the jobs that shows a perfect reason as to why there's a major trucker shortage. But it has a lot to do because, the dispatch crew that handles all the paperwork and truckers and all of that, brokers and everything.
Yeah.
They don't really appreciate truck drivers enough. And as you said beforehand, they also don't pay as great either, especially for the young rookie drivers.
Yeah.
It has part to do with it as well. When I went to truck driving school in July of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2019. The main company that was coming to the school, companies like Warner, Covenant Transport, US Express, TMC, which is a flatbed company. They are major big name companies. However, they're always recruiting rookie drivers, and And he's right. He's spot on when he said they don't really offer like 50 cents per mile. Actually, it was like 30 something or 40 cents a mile.
Damn.
Yes, exactly. And their expectations is just as high, if not as high, but as veterans that's been doing it for years. Like you would have to drive for like from like Delaware all the way to like maybe Kansas or Arkansas or Cali
Damn.
or North Dakota. You like that's called an OTR position. And it's not really going to be a week or two or so, depends on what company it is. It could actually be a month. It can be like a whole month, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. So I mean, it's bad. The truck driver shortage, it's all true. Because
because he saw. Yeah, if you watched the stream earlier, I had another truck driver in here named Marquise.
I'm gonna go back and look at it.
Yeah, go watch it. And he said he had like 4 trucks, and he said the brokers are the ones that make all the money. He said like you have to call a broker because he said a lot of these companies already got like entrusted truck drivers they know.
Yeah.
So he said sometimes you got to go through a broker and stuff. And he said, man, I feel bad for these new truck drivers because you're working under somebody, you make like 50 cents a mile, and these guys are only bringing home 1,000 a week, if that.
Yeah, it's not even just so much of the payment. I mean, though I know we all trying to make money and everything. I am going to say this. I feel like I have been making a lot more money than I ever was prior to truck driving. I'm gonna say I've been making more.
Okay.
But I still think it should be paid. You know, he's still right though. It should be a lot more. It should still be a lot more because we saw how the world was when this pandemic went down. You feel me? We saw how this world how it turned out. When the trucking stopped, so did the economy, so did a lot of business, a lot of that. It made a big difference. So I'm not sure if you noticed, if you drive on a highway, you're going to see signs out there that said, "Thank you, truckers."
Yeah.
Because that's when the world started appreciating truckers a lot more. For sure.
Damn, so do you get paid by the load, or how does that work for you?
Depends on what company you work for. It can go by per mile, per load, per stop, per each trailer you pay. It depends on what company you work for.
Which one do you like the best? It doesn't matter.
Which one do I like the best? I can't really say because my previous job was per load. I'm going to say per load, per miles. The miles wasn't really. You allow cursing, do you?
Yeah, I allow it.
Okay. The per mile wasn't really shit. I think it was like around. It was like under 30 cents a mile per load. It went like per piece or whatever. I believe it was by piece. It's been. I got to really show my pay stubs to really give you a specific answer.
What about you? What about the company you work for now?
They're by hour because I work for an LTL company, which is more likely local. I drive like no more than 100 miles a day. So I do like it. Yeah. I do like it. I actually love it because they actually pay a lot more for hourly. Is that and they what was I going to say? Kind of slipped my mind now, but they pay by hour. Overtime is actually, it depends what LTL company you work for. Oh, that's right. It's no more than 100 miles per day. You actually will be home every single night with the family. If you're a family man, LTL is perfect for you. Okay. Except most LTL companies, you know what LTL is by any chance?
No, what does LTL stand for?
I believe it's light truck loading. More likely, you're just delivering locally to like.
Yeah. A buddy of mine delivers artwork locally downtown. Like he drives. Yep. He said he goes no further than Galveston, which is like 60 miles. But he'll drive 100 miles in a day, and it's by the hour, and then he clocks out, goes home, repeat.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. So if you're talking companies like Old Dominion or Central Transport, Estes is another one. What else? Because there's a lot I drive by all the time. ADP, ABF, XPO, companies like that. Yes, those are considered LTL. They drive locally. They do have positions where you drive OTR, which is like you can drive all the way to Cali or all the way down to Florida and stuff like that. If you're a family man, that's perfect for you. Except the young truck drivers, it sucks for them. Or when I say young truck drivers, rookies, because It doesn't really go by age. It really goes,
It goes by
the
your
miles.
experience. Okay.
Yeah. So the hardest part is that you got to go through you got to get a year experience. And the main ones that's only going to take the guys in, rookies in or whatever, are jobs that don't really pay shit. So like I say, companies like, jobs that don't pay shit. That's why they're so willing to take those in. Those are the ones that don't pay shit. They don't treat their truck drivers right. And that's the problem with the trucking economy.
Yeah, that's what Marquise was telling me. He said they'll have you working 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on with only like 3 days off.
Yep,
and then you got to rinse and repeat rot all over again, and you're getting paid like maybe $1,000 a week or a little over.
Mm-hmm.
They only want to pay 50 cents to the mile. I'm like, holy shit. So let me ask you a question. Since you're a trucker, what were your thoughts about that one guy in Colorado that had I think his brakes failed, and then he had ran into some cars and killed like 3 or 4 people? And they gave him 100 years or 110 years, but then they later gave him only 10. Like, what are your thoughts to that? Do you think he was guilty? Do you think it was the company's fault? What are your thoughts to that?
I'm actually really happy that you said that, because I was going to talk about it, but I didn't know how to but I'm sure people were going to be interested. But anyway, my opinion is going to be very, very unpopular with this, because everybody was saying, oh, he did it on purpose. He was a terrorist or all this nonsense. I'm going to say this.
Actually, most people said it was the company's fault, that they didn't give him the proper truck, and that they didn't check the brakes and all that before giving it to him. That's what a lot of people are saying. And then some people said it wasn't his fault because there was like a ramp. He should have the special ramp that truckers are supposed to take, like the exit off of.
See, that's the thing. I feel like I do give some of the fault to the truck driver, because every trip before and after your shift, you always have to do a pre-trip. You got to check. I mean, you can't really visually check the brakes, but there's ways like pump your brakes or whatever. You got to do it that way. You got to check everywhere, like tires, all that kind of stuff. So who's to know if he really did that or not?
Yeah.
You always have to do it before and after. But there's also a good chance that it could have went faulty along the trip. But nobody's talking about that. I feel like most of the people that's talking about it are those that's never driven a truck before. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's absolutely, completely, 1,000% different than operating a regular vehicle. All right? Some brakes are operated by liquid. These trucks are operated by air. So, I mean, it could have happened in the middle of the trip. He could have been carrying an extremely heavy load.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that when you're going down an extremely steep ramp hill like that guy was going, and your brakes are faulty, it's not going to be right there on your mind. Oh, hey, there's a ramp right there. I could just do that. He could have been He could have been in an extremely panicked state of mind.
And that's what happened. Yeah, he panicked. Yeah,
exactly. So everybody's saying, "Oh, there was a ramp right there." It's not easy. You never driven a truck before, so you don't know. Maybe there were people that were trained for that kind of situation. Maybe he wasn't. And it was also say he couldn't really speak English. Now, I can't 100% fault him for that. I'm going to have to fault the company for that, because I'm not saying someone, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, there are companies that do neglect their trucks. That don't take good care of it. They want to run it down to the ground, because all they care about more is delivering it and making sure.
And the bottom line, yep. So
exactly.
At Walmart, before you go further, at Walmart, we got faulty jacks that don't work. We got conveyor belts that don't work. We got cart machines that come broken automatically and they don't fix them. And then we also got forklift trucks that sometimes don't even turn on, and they refuse to fix them.
100% is 100%. When I used to work at UPS, and I don't mind saying this, because I don't think I ever plan on going back. So when I worked at a UPS in Philly, not the one by the airport, I'm just going to say that, not the one at the airport, but when I worked at a UPS, the environment was so dirty that when I walk in, I get like these weird rashes. Or when I sit on something, some kind of conveyor belt that's not operated, let me add that, I get like, I'll be always itching. So you can tell like they don't clean. The belts, like you say, wasn't really proper. When they try to operate heavy boxes, heavy freight or whatever, their carts are always down. You know, like you said, like or other companies, the jacks, crap. Like some of these companies, they don't really take. They will run their
Yeah,
equipment
they run
to
their
the ground.
equipment down to the ground and then they
Yes.
blame the workers for it.
Yes, that's how they do it. Exactly. So yeah, that's how companies do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because my buddy who's a truck driver, he told me, well, when you panic, you tend not to think. But he said also when your truck goes over a certain speed, it also burns you. It can burn your brakes out too. So he was saying if like
yeah,
if you're going like 80 or 90 down the road, he said it burns your brakes. He said it's hard to operate in one of those big rigs. If you've got a heavy load, he said it was
yeah.
you
Mhm.
know.
Well, they say that when you're operating a heavy load, it's actually going to help slow down your truck because it's so heavy, but it's very problematic when you're going down the hill. And normally trucks are governed to go no higher than 70. I'm going to say maybe 72 tops.
Okay.
So what you see on the speedometer, it doesn't matter because it's governed because the truck I drive now is governed to go no higher than 75. I'm sorry, not 75. I'm tripping. I'm sorry. 65.
Okay.
So sorry about that. It's not 75, it's 65.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to say between 65 to like some even say 62, 63 or whatever. So if you're speeding, that kind of sucks. You know, if you're a speedster, that kind of sucks.
So
But
what happens if um like let's say your brakes fail, like what do they train you guys to do? Like let's say your brakes fell on your big rig and you're driving, like what is the procedure?
that's a really good question because I'm not going to say so much as I came across a situation when the brakes fail,
Yeah.
but I will say this. I had a partner. I was delivering a load from Maryland to I was going up to Vermont or
Okay.
New Hampshire. I'm going to say around that area. And I got to say those are very beautiful states, great sceneries and everything. But
Nice.
we was in New Hampshire, we was going down this hill and this guy, he's been doing it for over 10 or 15 years. But he was holding the brakes, kept slamming on the brakes or whatever, and the brakes were like overheating to the point that yes, they could fail on you because they're overheating. Once they're overheating, they're no good. They get spongy and everything. So what could have happened? I believe they say you got to use like your. That's a good question because I never came across the situation.
At least it never happened to you. What
Yeah.
situation did you come with your truck? Like if it's not brakes, is it like other stuff? Like just basically, yeah.
Well, there's a switch for engine braking. So what happens is your transmission jumps back a few gears
Okay.
to help it slow down. You feel me? There's
Yeah.
also a trailer brake that's supposed to help it slow down as well. Normally, if your brakes fail, you gotta stop it right there. You gotta pull over. Several things could happen. Your brakes could have been overheating, or if they're out of service, you're done as well. That's what you gotta call, whatever. But yeah, if you don't have any brakes, you should never ever operate the truck, period. Because anything happens to the truck, it's automatically your fault.
Damn. So
It's
what happens? What happens if like you're stuck out in the middle of Indiana somewhere and you need someone to get you because something happened to the truck? Do they send someone to get you, or how does that work?
They do send someone to get you. It's I can tell you right now, it could take hours. It could take hours. It could take between 2 to 6 hours for a wrecker. Basically, it's an extremely giant truck. It's like an oversized tow
Oh,
truck.
I've seen those oversized records. I've seen them.
Exactly, yeah. Those they will come. Depends if you had the load or whatever. They will come and get you. Now my previous company, they relied on a company called Ryder, I believe. They had various they're like an insurance. I don't roadside assistance or something like that.
Yeah.
They would hire like tow trucks or whatever to come pick you up or whatever. And they would take you to the closest Ryder to repair trucks or whatever, and they will give you the rental to finish your route. So when you're done, you finish off from wherever.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but my situation, see what I had to experience in New York, where now some truck drivers know where this area is at. It's called the George Washington Bridge.
Okay.
Now traffic, it's unbelievable. It's extremely dangerous. And yeah, I once broke down where like I was heading down south. I was on the bridge. It's always traffic is either that, and New York drivers are extremely reckless. So, but yeah, my truck broke down. I had to stop right in the middle of that bridge, and we was waiting for like 4 hours for
Damn.
one to eventually come by and pick us up. So yeah, after I experienced that situation, like I wasn't concerned. But now the company I work at, the LTL company,
Yeah.
normally we have a mechanic shop right at our terminal. So normally they would come out and pick it up. However, if it's outside of the state, if we're too far out, we would have to have someone in that state come and get us. So I work in PA, I work in Philly. I was in New Jersey where my truck broke down because a rubber hose, upper radiator hose, it burnt. I guess you could say it got in contact with the engine, and because of that, it burnt through the hose, and coolant was just shooting everywhere. It was smoking everything. It was bad, bro. It was bad. So I had to, have someone in the state of New Jersey come in, tow me back to the terminal. So it's very complicated. It all depends what company you work for.
Man, but
It
your
all
company seems
depends.
that they take care of you, like benefits wise, to give us good benefits.
I will tell you this. I felt like I was in a dark place a couple the previous job I worked at. And I don't want to say the name because I don't want there to be like harassment or
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
coming.
got you.
But there's been so many. I've been wanting to call them out so many times. I'm going to say this. My previous job I say they're a perfect example as to why there's a shortage in truck drivers, how they don't really pay enough. They are a perfect example because the dispatch, they feel like truck drivers are expendable. You feel me? And I'm not sure if you see my picture when actually this was like my second or third day on the road where I had a trainer. Ironically, a trainer with his job to be safe. He ran over a tree that was in the middle of the road. There was nothing we could do. It was pitch black out. It was like 3 a.m. About time the tree got in our vision, it was too late to dodge it.
Yeah.
We ran over the big tree. We lost control. The branch got a hold of the gas lines, the air lines, and yeah, once we came to a complete stop, it was already over and done with.
Damn.
So we was on the far right lane. We couldn't get to an emergency lane. We got as far as the right lane. Next thing you know, a FedEx. Have you seen those double trailers at times when you drive? Yeah, it'd be like 2 small trailers. Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost got hit by a FedEx with a double trailer. He literally just barely missed the back of our trailer. So thank God we're still alive. You feel me? I could have died. Just a reminder, I could have been dead. You would never, yeah. But when that happened, we called our dispatch. We told them what happened. And this is a perfect example of what's wrong with the trucking economy today. Why I tell you, these guys do not appreciate truck drivers. They always replace us. They ask you more about the load, about the like is the truck okay? Can you still drive? Can you still deliver? We be able to deliver to the restaurants? Yada yada. They ask more about the truck itself than they asked about your life. You understand me? So that's where we stand today as to why there's always a truck driver shortage. Is because the dispatch does not care about truck drivers all like that.
Damn.
If they feel as though you're not really getting paid enough, they'll just take in the next one that actually doesn't mind the pay.
That's what Marquise was saying as a truck driver. He said so. Say like he said a trucker strike never works because he said, let's say you don't want to drive for $3 a mile.
Yep.
Then he said they'll just hire some guy from India that'll do it for $2.
Yep. Exactly. They will lowball.
Yeah, he just said that's why trucker strikers never work. He said now, and he said in a lot of these fuel trucks are covered by the company, like they're the actual company trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just find somebody else to just drive it. That's how he told me. That's how they undermine it. I said, damn.
Yeah, it's bad.
So let me ask you.
Yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead.
ask
I'm
you a
sorry.
question. Oh, no. Let me go ahead and let you finish. Go ahead. Finish. You would say what?
Well, I was going to say it's bad enough if the people out appreciates truck drivers a lot more than the company itself.
Mm.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel like during this pandemic, truck drivers should get a lot more appreciation. I do want to say salute to everyone that actually does appreciate, that put all the signs out and everything.
Mm.
Now, I don't want to be so rude to say that, because I do believe, nurses also deserve a lot of appreciation, the
Doctors.
military, a lot of them, doctors, everything. But I think truck drivers should also be up there as well, because everything you see in your house, look at your house, look at your desk, look at the curtains, your computers, everything,
Everything.
how
Yeah.
your house is built, because the truck drivers deliver them
Yeah.
to any company. That's because of the truck drivers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Electronics, but what were you going to say? I know I'm talking too much. My apologies for
No.
that.
It's cool. I'm glad. Yeah. I don't go into work till 1 anyway. I still got another hour and
Yeah.
3 minutes. But I was going to ask you. Now I see. I know you're an Eagles fan. How'd you like the draft? Like, did you like who your draft picks were?
I love the draft. This could actually be, I'm going to say this is the greatest draft Howie Roseman, our GM himself, had. This is the greatest draft Howie himself had. I would say it's debatable whether or not it was as good as 2002, but I think literally this might have been the greatest draft, even though it's only 5 players, especially trading for AJ Brown. I would say it was the greatest draft we've ever had since 2002. Loved it.
Damn, so you
And
guys traded for AJ Brown. Wow.
yeah, we traded for AJ Brown. We gave up a first round pick, number 18 for AJ Brown. Now, and he wasn't one I was expecting for us to get. Normally, they were talking about. I'm not going to say I didn't think we was going to get Debo Samuel on them, but but there were still talks. There was Debo Samuel. There was DK Metcalf. There was Jarvis Landry. There was who else? Damn it, DJ Shark. There were so many people. AJ Brown wasn't really a lot we was talking about. I mean, I'll go so far as to say, yes, Jalen Hurts was spotted training with him about a couple weeks ago, but other than that, I didn't think we was going to get him. And I'm going to say defensive tackle when we got Jordan Davis. Honestly,
That's a good pick.
yeah, I'm be honest though, and I guess you could say I don't really. Well, obviously, I don't really watch enough college football, compared to you or Kev or Uncle Lou or Sleeta or Saints Uptown, Simonson and them. And I should watch college football a lot more college football. But let me say this. I didn't necessarily agree with us giving up 4 picks to move up 2 spots to get him. Because, with us having Javon Hargraves and Fletcher Cox and Milton Williams in them, I felt like our depth at defensive tackle was better, a lot better than it was at safety. And I feel like we need a safety a lot more. So who was it? Kyle Hamilton that was there? Kyle Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we need a safety a lot more because we had Ryan McLeod, but he went to the Colts. The rest of the guys we had,
he did leave.
Yeah, so we were open. I feel like we was open at safety. We needed safety and we needed a corner. Steven Nelson is with you guys now with the Texans. So yeah, Darius Slay's going to need help there at corner, and Anthony Harris going to need help at safety. And I feel like we had a much bigger need there than we had a defensive tackle. But you know what? Because I feel like it's more like a future pick, because Fletcher Cox could retire next year.
Yeah.
I think Javon Hargraves might be on his final year. I don't know, but you know what? I like it a lot more because future-wise, it's an amazing move. Then there's linebackers. We had one of the worst pass rushers in the league and worst linebacking positions. I loved what's his name? Kobe Dean.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy was supposed to be going in the first round, but because of the whole injury rumors and everything, he slid all the way in the second round? No, third round pick. Loved it. Center, Cam Jurgens. I didn't necessarily agree with the whole center thing, but because I heard that Jason Kelsey, our starting center himself,
Yeah.
I trust it. Then there's Kyron Johnson.
So
Him and Nakobe Dean is versatile. I'm sorry, I'm talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
what do you grade the Eagles draft from an A to an F? Like what do you give it?
Give it a solid A. I'm gonna say solid. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid A. The only move I don't agree is the tight end that we drafted. That's the only thing I don't necessarily agree with. We didn't really need a tight end, but I know we always go tight end, so that's I'm gonna give it a solid. I'm gonna give it a solid A though. I would say one of the best drafts we ever had in 2 decades.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm telling you, ever since 2002, that's the last time we had such an amazing draft like that.
Damn. So you're saying this draft is as good as the one in 02?
I'm gonna say not as good. If not, it's up there. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. I mean, because in 2002 we drafted guys like, who was it? If I can remember, it was Lito Shepherd, it was Sheldon Brown, Brian Westbrook, and yeah.
Damn. So
it was so long ago.
Over or under 8 wins for the Eagles?
I gotta look at the schedule before I give you an honest answer, but I'm gonna say that's a good question. I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say over 8. Yeah. I said under 8 last season. Well, I said at least 7 wins, not because I thought we was going to be a good team or anything, but the schedule didn't really scare me. But I'm going to say we could be over 8 wins.
All right. And who would you want the Eagles to play first in week 1? And do you want it home or away?
That's a tough one. I'm going to say
if you could pick your opponent.
I'm going to go Washington against Carson Wentz at home. Whether if it's at home or on the road, we always go against Washington, but I'm going to say only because of Carson Wentz. Only because.
Oh, that's right. He's a starting QB over there, isn't he?
He is a starting QB over there. Yes.
So do you like Jalen Hurts? Because I like him.
I do like Jalen Hurts, but very realistically, I'm not 100% sold as of yet. I know he wasn't bad last season, but we didn't beat a solid playoff team last year. So if he can do that, if he can show what he's about, and I'm going to say it's no more excuse this year. I feel like this will be the year to determine whether or not, if he is the quarterback. So I'm going to say no more excuses. We drafted A.J. Brown. The line is getting better and better. The offense and everything. So I'm going to say no more excuse. This will determine whether or not he is the quarterback moving forward. But as long as he's here, I will root for him, and I want him to be great. I love his mindset. Do I think we'll make the playoffs?
Yeah, like even if you don't win your division, you think you'll make the playoffs?
That's another good question. I think the Eagles can make the playoffs. I think so. I'm going to say maybe wild card at least. Wild card at least.
Damn, nice.
Wild card. I will say this. I'm going to keep rooting for Jalen Hurts because I love his mindset. I love his commitment. I love that he gets involved with his team, overall, everything. I love his confidence. I love it all. And I thought I liked Carson Wentz before he showed his true colors. But in spite of all the rumors about Deshaun Watson and everything, he never let that affect him. But look at Matt Ryan and look at Baker Mayfield. They wanted out as soon as they found out they were trying to be replaced. But Jalen Hurts, he never let that affect him, and I really like that. Though I can't be mad at Baker Mayfield and Matt Ryan for that, but still, he never let that affect him.
Damn. So what are your predictions? Do you think Eagles win the East this year or what?
I'm going to say Eagles or Cowboys. That's Cowboys have really fallen off. Would you say?
You said Cowboys have fallen off?
Yeah, I feel like they have fallen off. Michael Gallup is gone. They lost their offensive lineman. I feel like they've slightly fallen off, but I still feel like, I'm not really, sold of them being 6-0 in the division. I mean, the division was awful. You feel me? So it's not often a team would sweep the entire division, but still. they still won one and done. So it's not
Okay,
really
so
saying
you
much.
got so you definitely got Philly to win, or either that or Cowboys, but you do got Philly to grab one of those wild card spots.
Yes.
Nice. And you say they're going to go over 8 wins. So let's do a season prediction. How many wins do you think they'll get, if assuming they're all healthy?
You said assuming that they're healthy.
Yeah, assuming that they're all healthy, how many wins do the Eagles finish with?
I wish I remember the teams that we're going against. We're going against
the
the
East.
AF.
We play your East team, and then who do y'all play in the division this year in your conference?
I got to see the schedule because it's been a while since I last seen it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's who is it? The
Y'all
NFC,
play us. I know y'all play the AFC South. Y'all play Jags,
AFC
Colts,
South,
Texans,
and NFC North. I think AFC South and NFC North. I believe that's what it is. And I don't know the extra teams, but I believe we might have the Niners again. I know we got the Saints.
Yeah, y'all play us too.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Houston, Colts, and Titans. Ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, Titans definitely. Titans and Colts.
And for the South, y'all play what? Bucks, Panthers, Saints,
And Panthers.
Bucks,
Saints,
Saints, Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons. Yep.
Ooh, so how many wins do you think you'll get?
Out of those, I'm going to say at least 5. I'm going to say at least 5 or 6 of them. At least 5 or 6 of them. Because I can, and when it comes to division, I can definitely see us beating the Giants, beating Washington. At least maybe split both of them. So that's 2 wins right there. That's at least 2 wins right there. I'm not going to say so much as a sweep as of yet, but then again, Washington, I don't think Carson Wentz is going to last down there, so I could see us sweeping them again.
Nice.
Because if he couldn't handle Philly, Washington is a lot worse. He's not going to last. I don't think he's going to make it maybe half season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Eagles will finish off 9-8. That's what I got them at. I think they'll get one of the wild card spots, 6 or 7, 5, 6 or 7.
Definitely. But let me also answer this because I didn't finish the my situation, my previous job.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I did say my previous job, treated us like crap, whatever. Like they wasn't really the most caring for their equipment. All they cared about was delivering food to restaurants. That's kind of a thing in the food distribution. So I mean, me delivering to Wingstop, Outback, Ruby Tuesdays, companies like that, all around the west region of the U.S. The management or dispatch, like I say, they didn't really care about truck drivers. All they cared about was delivering. Now, jump starting to the job I'm currently at right now. Okay. They're much more appreciative. They care more about, making sure you get the hours in, you spend time with the family. It's a positive environment just where I'm at right now. You feel me? And I went through a whole year without stressing out. You feel me? They, the guys, they welcome me with open arms. They always crack jokes. We talk about sports, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So it's like, it's great. It's just great. So it just depends where you work at, especially an LTL company, because a lot of people want to be home with their family. And, but I will say this. If you're strictly about being home with the family, trucking is not necessarily for you because there will be times where you will be out for like 12 hours or, especially times like that. The money is really good, but you got to be willing to put time on the road for that. Just say that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, because like, let's say, for example, if you're working like 14 days on, 3 days off, so that means 14 on, that means you're like working 14 days driving on the road.
For the most part, that could be regional, or if you're going out for about a whole week and you're back, if you're out for like 5 days straight or whatever, you're driving like well over 1,000 miles or so. That's just regional because you're going like far away from your state. You're only going like, so far as all the way up north like to like Maine or all the way down in Florida. Yeah, you're driving regional. You're going to be gone for the next couple of days and everything. That's considered regional. But OTR, like I said, you're going all the way to Cali, you're going all the way to Texas or North Dakota. That's OTR. All the way to Canada. Yeah, and there's been times when I heard that they were gone for like a whole month or 2 months. There are times you could be home for like a couple of days up to like a couple of weeks or whatever, but for the most part, you're definitely going to be out there though. Local, on the other hand, you are home every night.
Nice.
You're definitely home every night. Yeah.
So that's why you like that particular LTR, right?
That's why I like the LTL, because I'm
LTL.
a family man. I do prefer to be home with my family. So LTL is definitely the thing for me.
Yeah. So you've done OTL before, haven't you?
Regional.
Yes.
The previous job, they tried to call it local, but it's not local if you go from Maryland to all the way up like past New York or New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, or you're going to be there for over like a day or so. It's not really so much of that, because I used to drive like every day. I used to drive like at least 300 miles a day. That's going there, not back. Well, total of 600. They would try to have me go back out on the road, even though that's not really legal. But that's also a thing. There are companies that they would want you to break the law. That would really, yes.
Wow.
They would want you to break the law. If your tire has fallen off or whatever, they would expect you to drive with a missing tire to still deliver.
Damn.
Or if we had this thing called I forgot what it's called, electronic law, ELD or something like that. I should be knowing what it is because I'm a truck driver, but it's like a log book where you have to know if you're driving or you're no longer driving, if you're off duty on break or whatever. You're supposed to say if you're driving, you can't drive for no more than a total of 11 hours. Your job would expect you to break that.
Damn.
Not all of them. Some of them are like that. Not all of them.
Some
of
are
them are like that. Exactly. They will like try to trick the system and everything.
Is there any way they can hide that? Like, can you hide that you only drove 11 hours, or it's kind of hard to hide it?
If you're doing it by manually through a book, you can trick it. You can kind of trick it, but if it's electronically, like you do it through a tablet or a phone or whatever, you can't really trick it all like that. But here's the problem though, huh?
Most truckers use a tablet or a phone, right?
Most, yes, but there's still some in this world that goes manually though.
Oh, and
here's the biggest issue that I'm sure a lot of us truck drivers can agree with the most, and maybe it's part of the reason why companies, truck drivers have quit, is because of this thing called the DOT, Department of Transportation officers. Also, basically they're like the state troopers of truckers. So what happens is, at any random day or whatever, by the weight scales, they're going to randomly pull over truck drivers and perform like an inspection. So, and this is why it's important to do your pre-trip before and after the shift. If anything goes wrong, even if it's a light, you always have to note it down, because if they see something that you don't and you don't note it down, you can get fined for it.
Damn.
Yes, you can't go overweight. You can't do that. Your wires got to make sure they're properly intact. Like, it has to be perfect. Otherwise, if they spot it, if you're not certified to deliver in certain states, like New York, for perfect example. Let me show you. Let me actually show you right quick. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not even sure if I have it really on this one, because I don't really drive in New York. Is this it? I think this is it. So let me show this right quick. Make sure I'm not showing the name of the company of the truck either. But this is what it has to be. or maybe some of them is like yellow or so. But you see that, yeah. If they don't see that, that itself can pull it over.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how long does it take for them to do the check? Like say they pull you over, like how long does that take?
They have like several levels. It got to be just a cab check or a trailer check or, you know, something like that. So it could take about between a half hour to maybe an hour and a half or so. So, yeah, it could be that. So, you know, they check your tires, they check your wires, they check everything.
Damn.
So, yeah, if your tires are bald, or if your landing gears are low, if there's a cracked light, stuff like that, if there's a hole in the trailer, anything damaged, they can fine you for that.
Damn.
You have to go to court. You can get points to your license. Exactly. That's part of the reason why many truck drivers also quit. That's another part of the reason why truck drivers quit.
Because the trucks that come in are already faulty, and companies tend to break the law and put themselves at risk, and then the company saves their own ass and say, well, it wasn't like that, or he knew to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Exactly.
Have you ever gotten that big rig, like before you took off in the truck? Like, have you ever noticed there were problems before you even touched it? You're like, man, this car's a piece of shit, or there's so many things wrong.
Dude, all the time. I've been in rigs where the air horn doesn't work, or there's like a tire is like bald or stuff like that. I've seen them all the time, and I always have them replace it. Always. Because if anything happens, if you don't, and let's just say if you drive, you didn't do your inspection, and there was like a bald tire and it blew up on you, you know, and it was already known that, you know, it was there, but you never reported anything, you can get in trouble for that.
Damn.
Not only by DOT, but also your job as well. You know what's also bad? If you even run out of gas. If you run out of gas in the middle of the highway, they call it an accident.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. It's a lot. It may be a lot of money in the trucking industry, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah, it's not like you just get your CDL, jump in a truck and turn ignition on, you know?
Exactly. I mean, maybe a box truck might be good for you then, but yeah, tractor trailers and stuff like that, nah, it's not as easy as you think, especially hazmats and all that kind of stuff. You got to be certified to be able to carry hazmats. You got to be certified for that. I just renewed mine not too long ago. It took about a couple weeks. They had to do fingerprint, they had to do a background check, everything.
Damn.
So yeah, it's yeah.
Damn, that's what's
crazy.
up, man.
Yep.
All right, well, Desert Eagle, man, I appreciate you being on here, man. I'm gonna go ahead and close it up, and I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to be on here, man. Maybe you'll be on one of my streams, you know, in the future, man.
Hey, of course, man. I know I said this several times, but I just want to say I really do appreciate, you know, the time that you always put, you know, educating everybody and doing you know, topics and everything. I really love stuff like this.
Hey,
as a matter of fact, you do, no problem. There are times I actually do be like, you know what, I should do something like this too. You feel me? You know, maybe do responses and stuff like that. But
or if you ever want to jump on one of my live streams, I'll be having all types of people come in on here, you know?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I used to have OnlyFans chick used to come in my live streams, man. I don't know where she was fine as hell, though. Yeah, she used to come in every now and then. I don't know whatever happened to her. Her name was Jennifer Hawkins. Sweet little girl, too. She's from Missouri. Well, she's from Texas, but moved to Missouri, but I haven't seen her in a while. They're like, where's that little fine-ass OnlyFans chick used to have? I'm like, I don't know. She left, like, I haven't seen her. Last time I talked to her was June of last year. She just stopped. She stopped coming on. I don't know. I mean, people come and go. That's how YouTube kind of works, you know.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. Well, Desert Eagle, I'm going to holler at you, man. Appreciate for having you on, man.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Yeah, because I'm going to go ahead and close it up. Because I gotta head to work. But I appreciate you guys for the 3 who are watching, man. For 5 people who are watching. I appreciate you guys for being on here. I hope to do more streams in the future, man, and get back to doing this and full time. And